Haven't seen you downtown lately.
Nope, sticking to our go-to places.
You mean like Sharky's?
Well, we love our Sharky's. Best wings and gumbo on the planet. But we never miss the $5 sangrias on Wednesdays at the new Salt and Lime. And Mexican pints on Thursdays for $3.
You know my boy loves the House of Hops. No better selection of craft beer in the state. Loves their specials, their food trucks, and you know I love my wine. They have a wonderful selection.
And have I told you about our new takeout spot, Che Empanadas? It's right next to Sharky's. They have 20 different types of authentic Argentinian empanadas, and they are incredible, especially the breakfast ones. You gotta try it.
Sounds perfect. And how awesome is it that they're so close to each other?
Yes.
Give them a try. Che Empanadas, House of Hops, Salt and Lime, and Sharky's. Just a hop, skip, and a jump from each other off Raleigh Road, Glenwood, and Grove Barton.
Hey, John, why so glum?
I just got let go. The company's downsizing. This is the third time in the last 2 years. I'm done with this.
Have you thought about My Computer Career? I've heard they can train you for a career in IT in just a few months, including cybersecurity and the basics of AI. And you don't need prior training or experience. Now that's a recession-resistant career.
Wow, thanks. I'll check them out.
Go to mycomputercareer.edu and take the free career evaluation. mycomputercareer.edu. Financial aid is available for qualified students, including the GI Bill.
Whether it's the future of college football or my love for the Ryder Cup, it's all found in the Best of the Adam Gold Show podcast, brought to you by Coach Pete at Capital Financial Advisory Group. Visit us at capitalfinancialusa.com.
This hour of the Triangle Sports Leader is powered by Ritchie Law Firm, injury lawyers. Ritchie Law is on top of it. Go to ritchielaw.com.
That's ritchielaw.com. WCMC-FM HD1 Holly Springs.
It's great for the game, and although all these great teams that took it to the end, the New York Mets had a phenomenal season, you have the history that goes with the fact that this is the rivalry. It's Dodgers, Yankees, which goes back to the Brooklyn Dodgers. It's Jackie Robinson. It's just storied 27 Yankees. It's retired numbers. It has all these elements, but then you bring it into the modern game, and you have two just really good teams with some nice payrolls to create the star power that makes the game float. And the star power aren't just stars because they're just names. These guys are great, great ball players.
Good afternoon. It is the Adam Gold Show. I am Adam Gold. That was Doug Glanville, our friend, talking about the fact that the Dodgers and Yankees will meet in the World Series, which I believe begins Friday. They had to allow for the possibility that there would be Games 6 and 7 of the American League Championship Series, which would have been tonight and tomorrow. Might have had a Game 7 of the National League Championship Series. Dodgers saw to that. Yankees saw to the former. So we have to wait 4 days now until we get the World Series underway. We'll talk about that even in the first segment, but certainly in the second hour. We got a lot of things to do. Real quick, before we start, and this is legitimate news, I was wondering, as I was looking at, I was otherwise occupied for a good chunk of Saturday. I've caught up on everything. But I was following scores Saturday afternoon, and I noticed that the Pirates were getting handled by Army. And
Bad.
I forget exactly what the score was early, but it was an early blowout. The score at the end made it seem a lot friendlier, even though it's still not good. It made it seem, okay, it was just a high shootout. Nope, it was not a shootout. The Pirates did all of their scoring after the game was essentially over.
Yes.
So I texted a friend of mine who is super plugged into ECU, and I just said, it's over, isn't it? And at that point, the university had not made a call on Mike Houston. And he goes, it needs to be. That was what he said. It needs to be. And my feeling, I've been saying this for a little bit, Mike Houston is legitimately a very good football coach. He hasn't been a college coach forever. I think it was 8 years prior to taking over ECU, but this is year 6. He won everywhere he went. He had one losing season in his 8 years prior. He was at Lenoir-Rhyne in Division II, I think he played for a national championship. Then went to the Citadel, had 2 good years at Citadel, and then at JMU, won a national championship and was one of the best teams at the FCS level before they moved up. Comes to ECU, takes over a program that I'm not going to say was in terrible shape, because I don't think it was in terrible shape. It was. I'm sorry. My fault. Mea culpa. Scotty Montgomery left that place in unfortunate tatters. He recruited halfway decent, but that it wasn't good enough to overcome the amount of mismanagement that the program had. Anyway, Houston comes in, great track record, and it just didn't work. Fired Sunday morning. I got a text that it was over. 27-38 in 5+ seasons, 15-28 in the American, which included 2-9 over last year's 1-7 and the first 3 games of this season. And on top of that, they didn't exactly have seriously difficult league schedules. I mean, I don't think last year's, if I recall correctly, it wasn't a cakewalk, but it wasn't like you were always playing the best of the American, on top of the fact that the best of the American Athletic Conference had left. Whether it was Cincinnati or Central Florida, I mean, they're gone. But it had gotten awful. They actually were pretty good the last 2 years, prior to the last 2 years. 21-22, they were good. Won 8 games in 21, 7 games in 22. Looked like they might have been turning a corner, and then the other way. And in year 6, with it looking as bad as it did, and if you think about this, getting blown out at Charlotte like they did, giving up 55 points to Charlotte. And with all respect, and at the risk of further annoying the Charlotte 49ers fans, that program isn't any good right now either. For you to get blown out by Charlotte and then turn around and be completely non-competitive against Army. And it isn't so much that you gave up points to Army. Because when you play Army and you play Navy, who play a different style of football that nobody plays anymore, I could see your defense not being all that great. But I can't think of an excuse to score 0 points in the first half against Army. 0.
No.
I just can't. I can't come up with a scenario where that's acceptable.
It was 24-0 at the half.
Yeah, it was just they were not in the game. And it got worse, I believe, right after halftime. So, to me, it just wasn't working. Mike Houston is put out of his misery. Has not been able to figure it out. And we can say, well, they haven't figured out quarterback. Well, yeah, you could agree with that, right? But the truth of the matter is that they weren't really good enough on either side of the ball. They were 0-3 against App. Again, the blowout loss to Charlotte. You can't lose. If you're East Carolina, you can't have a goose egg against the in-state schools that theoretically you are supposed to be equal with or better than in the case of Charlotte. So, and then you throw in this, the tradition of ECU football, certainly since I have been in the Triangle since 98. But obviously well before that. You go all the way back to Pat Dye if you want. They have had excellent football at East Carolina. Whether it's through Bill Lewis, who begat Steve Logan, who after the brief foray into the John Thompson era got Skip Holtz, and then Ruffin McNeil, who did a credible job. At the end, I felt like they were recruiting. It had fallen off, so that's why they made the move to Scotty Montgomery, which didn't work out, to say the least. And then Mike Houston. It's hard. This is the first time that two coaches in a row had failed. They had been pretty good with Lewis to Logan. Gosh, that's the heyday, right? Holtz to McNeil. It's pretty good. They deserve more success in Greenville. As I felt bad for, I feel bad for Pirates fans because I know, like, for that university, it is all about football and baseball. That's it. They care about the other sports. You care about your school. But their identity, their athletic identity, comes from those two programs. Baseball has held up, more than held up their end of the bargain. Football has not. So we'll talk about this more as we go throughout the program, but it was something that had to happen. And again, Mike Houston is a good football coach. He's going to go somewhere. He'll be a coordinator or whatever, and then he'll get another job as a head coach, and I'll be surprised if he's not. Look, I don't know what kind of success he's going to have depending on the kind of type of job he gets, but he's a good football coach. Got a good track record, just did not work out at East Carolina. All right, let's get going. Even though we've already done 8 minutes of the program. All right, let's get right to this. If the Panthers and their fans, let me just say, if Panthers fans weren't already over the Bryce Young era, like put yourself into this position where...
Oh, I'm there.
Right? That you're over the Bryce Young era, right?
Right? Okay. I'm there.
I think a lot of fans are, right? But if you weren't already over the Bryce Young era, what we saw yesterday would say, why aren't we playing Bryce Young?
I really thought they were going to throw him out there.
Bryce Young should have played the entire second half.
Yeah.
That is absolute freaking malpractice that Bryce Young didn't play the entire second half. The game was over. Andy Dalton was death warmed over on the field. He was terrible. For the life of me. And this is further proof that they have moved on from Bryce Young. There is no way on this earth you can convince me that they still believe that Bryce Young is their future. He is not. Because if he was, in a game that was 27-0 at half?
At some point. Let me check.
It was 27-0 at half. And they were non-competitive in the game.
I erased it
right?
already.
Memory bank is gone.
It's done. Yeah, it was 27-0.
27-0 at half after Marcus Mariota.
After the third, it was 37-0.
Yeah, went into the Wayback Machine, all the way back to Oregon, not even here, not even in the NFL. So you were proving nothing by sending Andy Dalton out. And then he started the fourth quarter. I'm like, Dave Canales, what the hell are you doing?
What are you doing?
Here would be the best case scenario, because they have moved on. Mentally, they've moved on from Bryce Young. Best case scenario, Bryce Young comes in and does a couple of good things, right? And another team looks at him and goes, hey, that was pretty good.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll give you a 4th-round pick next year for Bryce Young.
Well,
and we'll take on the last 2 years of Bryce Young's guarantee and see if he's got something. But
then that says that they don't feel confident he would show anything good on the field.
So you're in it's the same. It's the exact same thing.
I mean, if you were going to throw him out there with the Swiss cheese offensive line a couple weeks ago, why didn't you do it yesterday?
And honestly, I didn't think protection was necessarily their problem yesterday. Their problem was everything.
All of it.
They looked like we all agreed that the previous week, and I forget who they played now last week, when they actually showed some guts right? And it was a 28-20 game until
Falcons.
the Falcons. 28-20 game until the interception, right?
Yep.
That turned the game around. But there was a lot of good that came out of that game. Their offense looked credible. I would argue that if I didn't know better, I would say that during the week, they felt really good. That was a moral victory, and they treated it like an actual victory, like they belonged. And then they went to Washington, and a team that didn't even have their starting quarterback after the, first series?
Yeah.
Second series?
It was very early
Daniels
on.
was done, right? I hope he's well, by the way, because obviously he's a great player, and I think that team is exciting. They go to Marcus Mariota, who looked like he couldn't throw the ball for a quarter and a half.
Yeah, it took him a minute to get warmed
right?
up.
And doesn't have a great defense, and you were non-competitive. It looked like an FBS versus an FCS game. It was so bad.
Lots of Fs.
And when Andy Dalton panicked and threw the interception on the screen pass,
yeah,
that alone would have sent me into a seizure if I were a Panthers fan. Get him out because he didn't have to panic.
No.
He panicked. He threw the ball 30 miles an hour past Miles Sanders' ear. It went right to Fowler, who ran it back for a touchdown. And we were done.
So gross.
We were done. Dalton played more than 3 quarters and threw against, again, not a great defense, threw for 93 yards. They ran the ball okay. They didn't run it great, but they didn't do anything great. All right. I was appalled at what I watched. Appalled. At every level of it, I was appalled with what I watched. Andy Dalton on the start.
Yeah, I mean, it got out of our hands quick, and it got away from us, and we can't come out like that. Can't start the way that we did. The turnovers hurt us, and we couldn't catch back up.
Yes, you couldn't catch back up. It was 17-0 early in the second quarter. There's so much time left. Take a deep breath. I mean, you gave away the first touchdown. Take a deep breath. All right. We have a game plan. I am assuming they had a game plan.
Yeah, somewhere.
Right? Let's collect ourselves. Let's do what we're supposed to be doing. And let's see what happens. Put a little pressure on Washington. And they did the opposite. They absolutely capitulated. They just caved in every conceivable way. And what, honestly, for Dave Canales, was an embarrassing loss.
I'm proud of our guys. I'm proud of the work that we do. So for me, I never go to that place. For me, it's about honoring the guys that are there, that try their butts off, in practice, and I'm proud of that, But it's got to show up on game day, and we can have great weeks of practice or whatever it is, but the carryover and the mentality, that part needs to be consistent for 4 quarters.
I'm not the only one who's tired of that, right? I'm not the only one out there who's tired of I'm proud of our guys. This ain't college, man.
No.
This is not college. You can't be competitive one week and then completely non-competitive against a team that is about on par with the team you were just competitive with. Like, especially when you take Jaden Daniels out of the equation, you can't tell me that Washington is significantly better with Marcus Mariota than Atlanta is with Kirk Cousins. You can't do that.
I thought that was going to be a window to actually us being competitive and maybe scoring, and then it didn't.
And that's the other thing, that their defense ain't all that.
No.
But, man, it looked awesome.
Oh, yeah.
It looked awesome. And we saw Frankie Louvoum. We saw Jeremy Chin. We saw all of that. And, gosh, it was bad. What a terrible, terrible performance. All right, we'll talk more about that later. Russell Wilson, I'm going to use a cooking analogy here.
Okay.
All right, for those people who fancy themselves breakfast chefs on the weekend, Russell Wilson, this I might be talking from experience, he burned the first pancake.
Oh, yeah.
Right? He burned the first pancake. The world went, that guy can't make pancakes. And then he proceeded to flip flapjacks the rest of the day like he was breakfast maven.
That were shapes and everything.
That was, like, we got to be honest here. I think we were all skeptical of what Russ we were going to get because we hadn't seen it in 3 years.
Which is fair.
He was very good.
Yeah.
He was very good. And he was significantly better than the quarterback on the other side.
Oh, big time.
Aaron Rodgers.
Wow. Who was he throwing it to half the time?
The interception to Garrett Wilson, unless Garrett Wilson was supposed to come back for the ball, I don't think so. The second interception was definitely on Garrett Wilson.
Mm-hmm.
Can't have a pass bounce off your chest like that.
It's a bad spot.
So
right in the hands.
He said after the game, Garrett Wilson said, I have to attack the ball. I have to catch it with my hands. I have good hands. I got to use them. So Garrett Wilson took the responsibility, which he should have. But, man, what a performance by the Steelers. Go Pittsburgh.
I know.
Chiefs keep winning in spite of their quarterback.
Yeah. Oh, boy.
They're 6-0, and they've played a difficult schedule. And Patrick Mahomes has just been kind of okay. Just kind of okay. Mm-hmm. What, he had a passer rating of about 50. And they
still managed.
Pretty much handled the 49ers on the road.
Yes.
Wasn't even Arrowhead or whatever they're calling it.
Yeah.
They won that game in San Francisco. Lions flexed on the Vikings in Minnesota. Saquon Barkley, he would run for a touchdown today.
Oh, yeah.
If they asked him, say, hey, we're playing the Giants in our mind. Would you like the ball? Yes.
Yes, please.
I would like the ball. All right, let's get to a couple of other quick things before we take a break. State, nice win at Cal. Really good win at Cal.
It's close.
Fourth quarter defense. They suffocated the Bears. C.J. Bailey was excellent. So they got their first conference win. I know people probably looked at it and said, why are we playing Cal? Well, it's a conference game. Really not up to you. To me, the key in the game, and this is not rocket science, the Bears scored 20 consecutive points. Was it 20? No, it was they had 4 consecutive scores, 16 consecutive points. 3 in a row were field goals. 2 of those field goals were after drives stalled inside the 10. So State getting back to what they have been in the past, which is a defense that bends but doesn't break, and they brought that back for the game at Cal. Good for them. I still don't understand why Cal didn't try to run the ball more. Like, they threw it a ton in the game. They probably shouldn't have done that. Anyway, C.J. Bailey, over 300 yards passing, couple of touchdowns, 25-36. He was great. I think the future is really bright for him. Stanford and Duke are the next 2 opponents, although State is off this week. And by the way, that'll close out their home schedule. So they play their last 2 on the road, and that'll be it. Duke beat Florida State on Friday night, 23-16. But you know the real loser there? People who watch football. Mm-hmm. Gosh. Whoa. Duke had less than 200 yards of total offense.
Wow.
Florida State returned it over 4 times. My gosh. Anyway, it's just good for Duke.
Wow.
Good for Duke. Florida State's a mess. Duke is 6-1. Florida State is 1-6. Duke hosts SMU Saturday night.
That'll be good.
A night game on the ACC network.
Prime timer.
Yeah. Then their next 2 are at Miami and at NC State. Clemson and Miami kept the pendulum moving forward, which is nice. Shouts to you, Cam Newton. And SMU also won. Wake won at UConn. So not a terrible weekend all in all for the ACC.
No.
And something we are going to talk about, and I mentioned it before, the 2 most storied franchises in baseball ever are renewing hostilities in the World Series.
Yes, they are.
This is the most frequently played World Series, but it has been 43 years since we've seen it. 1981 was the last time the Dodgers and Yankees met. Dodgers won that World Series after dropping a series to the Yankees in 77 and 78. I think we've got not only the 2, we clearly have the 2 best teams. They were both the 1 seed, so
right.
Facts only.
Worked out.
But we have stars galore on both sides.
Big time.
Very, very cool for baseball fans to have this fall classic. When we come back, Will Brinson on the NFL, a little bit about the Panthers. We're going to dig into Russell Wilson versus Aaron Rodgers, as well as Kansas City winning in spite of Patrick Mahomes. Next.
Serving it up hot and fresh every day. Adam Gold on the North Carolina Sports Network.
Keep pounding. Panther Talk. Panthers Playbook. The Paw Print. Follow your Carolina Panthers all season with us.
Dalton this time in a pistol set. Here's the snap. Hand off Chuba Hubbard. Straight up the middle. Big hole. He's got the 20, 15, 10, 5. Goodbye. Touchdown. Chuba Hubbard.
Your home for complete Carolina Panthers coverage. 99.9 The Fan. The Triangle Sports Leader.
Hey, it's Adam Gold from my friend Gordon Miller, Miller Lending, Kildare Farm Road in Cary. And in 1987, Gordon had an idea. Actually, a light bulb went on over his head, and he thought, why are people paying closing costs on mortgages when they don't have to? We have found a better way. So Miller Lending was born. In 1996, they moved to the Triangle. Been on Kildare Farm Road in Cary ever since. Don't pay closing costs. This gives you the freedom to refinance free of charge when the rates come down. And especially this year and even next year after the election, the rates will drop because they're probably a little bit too high right now, although they have come down about a point since May. MillerLending.com. Find out all about it. Incredible company, smart people, very helpful videos on their website as well. Miller Lending, home of the original no closing cost mortgage. It's the game you should be playing with a mortgage. Miller Lending on Kildare Farm Road in Cary, an equal housing lender, NMLS ID 2502146.
Mitchell Heating and Cooling. We do the job right every time.
I'm Drake May, quarterback at UNC. Trust the team at Mitchell Heating and Cooling for your HVAC needs. Together we win. Call Mitchell Heating and Cooling today.
Contact us now at mitchellhvac.com or 919-556-5069. Train. It's hard to stop a train.
The best solutions every time.
All right, when it comes to getting life insurance for your family, a lot of excuses can get in the way. But ask yourself this. If something were to happen to me, who would pay the mortgage, the kids' education, and the other bills? Then forget the excuses and check out Ethos Life, the online, easy way to get life insurance in 10 minutes. Ethos has rates that you can afford, like a $500,000 policy for a 40-year-old male starting at $1 a day or $30 a month with a few health questions and no medical exam. Get your free quote right now at checkethos.com. That's checkethos.com. Not available in all states. Rates do vary.
Adam Gold in studio with my man Patrick Day from the Aluminum Company of North Carolina. Everything for the exterior of your home, but it's also everything for the peace of mind of the customer. Talk to me about the trust factor and everything else that you guys offer.
I got to tell you, I think one of the biggest things for us is we don't take any payment from you for any of your home improvement needs until we're done with the project. I hear stories all the time about people putting down deposits with companies, 25, 50% of the project total overall, and they don't even know, they don't show up.
Right.
You've lost whatever percentage you put down, that's how much power you lost already. Right?
Right.
So with us, you pay nothing until we're done. Typically we're not the least expensive and we're certainly not the most expensive. You get 3 or 4 estimates, we're going to fall right there in the middle. But, you're going to have a warranty that's lifetime, transferable for 10 years on any of the products we sell typically. And we've been around since 1961. You can trust us. We've been around forever.
It is about trust. And I think you guys are the most trustworthy business that I know. Aluminum Company of North Carolina, aluminumcompany.com.
Everywhere you look, things are getting more expensive. So at Consumer Cellular, we're lowering the price for those 50 and up. Now you can get unlimited talk, text, and data for $30 a line when you buy 2. That's just $60 a month for 2 unlimited lines. So if you're 50 and up, make the switch and save. Come on, you've earned this. Call 1-888-FREEDOM or visit consumercellular.com today. Requires 2 lines of service, age validation, and credit approval, subject to system and area limits, taxes, and other fees apply.
This is Adam Gold.
We had lightning hit a pretty large tree.
Oh, yeah.
About 150 yards from the house. It'll be my sign to go win the lottery. But You know what? I'm sorry, I can't. I have rules. If it's not over $1 billion, I'm not playing.
Yeah, still just millions.
The Adam Gold Show.
It's the Adam Gold Show. I'm Adam Gold. Victoria producing the program. Oh, I love a little improv jazz.
I know, right?
On a Monday. Very nice.
It's Back to the Future Day, so it's
Is it
all
really?
soundtracked from Back to the Future.
Oh, very nice.
Mhm.
Oh, we'll have some Chuck Berry later, I would imagine.
Yes.
Very good. Good. Very underrated soundtrack, by the way, Back to the
know.
Future. So let's get in our flux capacitor and welcome in the senior NFL writer from CBSSports.com, my man, my friend who sorts the Sunday pile, Mr. Will Brinson. Sir, I want to start with the Panthers, but I don't want to linger too much on the Panthers because if fans weren't already done with Bryce Young, when Andy Dalton panics and throws the interception through Miles Sanders to Dante Fowler for the is Dante Fowler? Whatever. Dexter Fowler?
Yes.
Dante Fowler.
Dexter
Fowler,
Jr.
former big leaguer. Dante Fowler, not a former big leaguer. When he throws that interception that is run back for a touchdown, at that point, Panthers fans would have gone, let's see the other guy. Let's see the other guy. Because Andy Dalton, the end of the game against Atlanta wasn't awesome. So that was really bad. That was bad at every possible level. And we didn't see Bryce Young until one series, their last offensive series in the fourth quarter. That was just, is that rock bottom? I guess that's my question.
No.
It's not. It can get worse than that because it wasn't even, look, I think Washington's a great story, but I don't think they're a great team. I love them. I want them to win the division. I have a ticket on them to win the division. But I don't think they're a great team. I don't think they're a great defense. And they had Marcus Mariota at quarterback basically after the first series.
Yep.
I can't think of anything more embarrassing than what I watched. Non-competitive for 60 minutes.
Yeah, I mean, you get, it's on the road in D.C., whatever, but you get blown out 40-7. I mean, I think anybody could do this. And I wrote this in my column today, which I filed late. So you might not have seen it on your way to work. But shout out to the Legend of the Cobras Y Guides group that forced me to fall asleep after a weekend, and shout out to Tortugas Lie. After a weekend away with them, somebody needed some dad naps late and decided to write this morning. Anywho, I mean, I think what is the point of not just playing Bryce Young? Because one of two things is going to happen. Either he is going to send you hurtling towards the number one overall pick, which Andy Dalton's doing anyway.
Right.
I mean, Andy Dalton had 93 pass yards, 2 picks on 11 to 16 attempts, right? Or you're going to, he's going to win some games and maybe you find out that he could be the guy and you extend it a little bit. And I don't think that's going to be the case. I think this defense is too bad to stop anybody. I think the Panthers are going to be a speed bump for the next, certainly for the rest of the season and maybe for the next several years. I mean, this just isn't, it's not a good football team. They're not good. They're just not good. And I think what I'm curious to see is, do you play, Dave Canales has said, Andy Dalton's a guy moving forward, whatever. I mean, but I just play Bryce Young. Let him just see if he can play his way out of something. And if at the very least, you would be able to say, all right, we gave this guy 2 seasons. It didn't work out. We have the top overall pick. We're going to go in a different direction. Or you draft somebody else to put some stuff around him. But it does you no good to kick the can down the road on trying to figure out if Bryce Young can be the guy in year 3. I don't know. It's a mess. It's a really tough situation because there isn't we've seen teams flip it around. The Texans are a good example, ironically, I guess, because they got C.J. Stroud, but they also got a lot of other pieces in place along with C.J. Stroud. The Panthers are a long way from being that. And so I think if you're going to have a lost season, at least throw the quarterback out there who you took number 1 overall. And if he can't elevate the team at all, and he probably can't because, Andy Dalton can't even do it either, right? Then at the very least, you have put it out there that you can move on from him and try and go in a different direction. But again, at the same time, like, I don't know that you're going to take somebody number 1 overall next year.
No,
or at the end of this year, and they're going to come in and it's going to be fine. Like you need more. You need more than that.
They shouldn't. They should actively. I think the best case scenario for the Panthers is that a quarterback does emerge as a target, as a first overall pick, and they trade it. That's the best case scenario. The worst case scenario is, it's really not a quarterback that anybody wants, number 1. And how much can you possibly get for some other team to trade up and draft?
The worst
Travis
case scenario
Hunter.
is actually Cleveland or New England. Both of them are 1-6. Tennessee also at 1-5, by the way. And the Saints and the Giants at 2-5 don't look very good either. Jacksonville and the Jets probably get better, but the worst case scenario is you finish with like the 2nd or 3rd pick. There is a quarterback who emerges who's the guy, and either you get leapfrogged by another team, or you have to trade a bunch of stuff to move up and get him at number 1 overall. So I
don't think the Panthers are going to. I think they've got maybe one more win accidentally in them. Maybe that'll be enough to have them not get the first pick. But that team that I watched, that team's non-competitive, and I've been saying this for weeks. I think they should make a list of every single asset that they've got that would be available, that would attract a trade. Agreed, it won't. And they should move it. Every single asset that they've got, from whether it's Deontay Johnson,
whether it's like Ike Ekwonu, who even if there's somebody who's like we can put it, because Ike's at the point where he is like you're getting on there on his rookie deal.
Yep.
You're going to have to decide, are we going to sign this guy? What are we going to do? There's certainly a team out there that would say, all right, this guy could probably play guard for us, and we can move him in right now.
Well,
go get.
And they don't need guards, right?
So I'm with you. I think that's a good idea. Of course they do, but we're like, just trade everything you can, get as many picks as you can.
Yep.
Try and slam a draft and hope that it's the impetus for turning things around. Like one draft, probably not going to turn the Panthers around, but one draft could turn the Panthers around, or at the very least could give them some building blocks to start to turn it around.
There's no question. I'm going to transition to the Jets and the Steelers here. And the Jets, in terms of their personnel, think about the Sauce Gardner, Garrett Wilson, who is super disappointing. If you are a Jets fan, super disappointing this year.
He had 2 bad drops. I still think he's a really great player.
No, I'm not arguing that. But yesterday was super disappointing if you're a Jets fan. Breece Hall, right? The Jets have nailed the last several drafts, nailed it. And when the Aaron Rodgers experiment is over, they'll have to rebuild some things and they'll have some cap issues. But, man, there is a core of good young players there that will at least keep the Jets competitive if they can nail some other drafts, which I don't know if they will. But
you think about Houston and, Tank Dell, Nico Collins, CJ Stroud, like you get in the course of several drafts, along with Will Anderson, right? You trade for, like Titus Howard. Like they're just, if you hit on, and it's hard to do, I get it. Another example, the Saints in 2017, they were 8-8 or maybe even 7-9 for like 3 straight years, despite having Drew Brees and Sean Payton.
Right.
They get Ryan Ramczyk, Marshawn Lattimore, Alvin Kamara, the safety Williams, like Marcus Williams, like you nail a draft like that, and all of a sudden they were winning 13 games every year. It can take you from one tier of team in the league to another tier. So yeah, absolutely.
Yes, that's what if I were
the
them,
Jets are also 2-5. So I'm not sure like we're making a great compelling case.
Right, but they're 2-5 because their quarterback's bad right now. Let's get to the quarterback of the other team, however. Because
NC State legend, Pittsburgh Steeler, Russell Wilson.
Absolutely. A whole pack of Steelers. So, look, I was really multitasking yesterday because my focus was on the Mets staying alive against the Dodgers, which did not happen. Spoiler alert. But YouTube TV has this nifty little, actually, I had 3 things on at the same time. There's also the WNBA.
Whatever the WNBA paid YouTube TV to boost their ratings by like jamming it in with the with the NLCS and Sunday Night Football, it wasn't enough.
I watched the overtime. It was great. It's like kind of hard basketball to watch, but it was dramatic. So when the Mets were, giving up runs, I took a little break and I watched some of the Steelers and the Jets. And I know just from looking at social media that the world had checked out on Russell Wilson after like the first two series. They're like, could we please go back?
First three drives were pretty bad.
Can we go back to Justin Fields? And I was like, I didn't weigh in because I hadn't seen it. And then I flipped to the Jets. I watched a couple of series. I'm like, was this the Russell Wilson they're talking about? Because this Russell Wilson's good. And he made throws. He looked poised. Like, not that Fields doesn't do a lot of really good things, but throwing the football accurately isn't one of them. And Russell threw it pretty well, and I'll be surprised. He's going to have to get hurt for Mike Tomlin to change his mind now.
100%. And I would know too. Chris Collinsworth pointed this out on the broadcast later. He's like, Fields' rushing ability opens up the run game for Najee Harris, and that is true. But he's like, what if Russell's deep ball ability, and I think Mike Tomlin had basically said this, and they were repeating, it's one of those things you get in the coaches meeting, you repeat on air, that what if Russ's deep ball opens it up? Well, according to my colleague Jacob Gibbs, percentage of rushes coming versus stacked boxes for Najee Harris in 2024, 20% with Justin Fields at quarterback, 5% with Russell Wilson at quarterback, and percentage of rushes coming for Najee against light boxes, 29% versus Fields, 52% versus Wilson. So Russell's ability to run play action, to throw accurately on these, he got lucky on like a couple pick and stuff, and he wasn't perfect, but he had a lot of time off. He's in a new system. It's relatively short week that this all happens. And like Harris ran really well. Jalen Warren ran well. The Steelers were able to run the football because Russ is under there with the threat of play action and with the ability to throw these little short passes, whether it's a screen to Darnell Washington, over the middle to Pat Freiermuth. I don't think the Steelers offense is going to explode with Russ, but it opened up a lot of things that they didn't have before. And I think that's a big differentiator, especially when you have a great defense. Suddenly now you can win games a few different ways versus trying to just eke out a 17-16 victory.
That Russell Wilson, they don't lose to the Cowboys. That Russell Wilson, they beat the Cowboys. So somebody asked Tomlin about the move to Russell Wilson during the week, and Tomlin's response was, "That's why I'm highly compensated." And it was hysterical the way he ended the press conference and walked out.
No, that was last night, I think, when he was like,
right.
"Is that one of your boldest moves ever?" He's like, "That's why I'm compensated."
That's why he was definitely excited about things as he was walking off the field last night.
He had another good snarky one-liner. I believe is at the expense of our friend Brooke Pryor, unfortunately. But she said, "Did Russell, when he plowed through for that touchdown and fought his way into the end zone, did it show you the resilience that you knew was in there?" He's like, "It was a sneak." That's his only answer.
He needs to be nicer to Brooke Pryor. That's my friend. He needs.
I love Brooke Pryor, but Mike Tomlin's funny.
Hey, I love Tomlin too. I'm a big. I've been saying this before. The only thing that would ever get me back to the Jets is if the Steelers did something dumb, and if the Jets could convince him to come there. Of course, Mike Tomlin's
too smart to take the Jets. Exactly.
Way too smart to take that job. I'm not the only one enjoying the tire fire. That is one Jets drive, right?
No, I mean it's unbelievable. I mean, I think I saw. I believe this is correct, but it is definitely correct. Devontae Adams lost to the Steelers, got traded, and lost to the Steelers again, all in the span of 7 days. I mean, it's incredible. It's hard to do. Their month of October has been pretty. Pretty wild.
They were 2-1, then lost at home to the Broncos. They're a complete mess.
Well, so October is lose to the Vikings in London, fly home, fire your coach, lose to the Bills, trade for Devontae Adams, lose to the Steelers. And I mean, look, they've got the Patriots, Texans, Cardinals, and Colts coming up before their Week 12 bye. I don't think it's insane to suggest they could find a way to go 3-1. The Pats are bad. Cardinals defense isn't very good. Colts are a hot mess right now with their quarterback situation. Texans at home.
I think they could beat the Texans too, but that's another matter altogether. I think
but
they
if you
could go 4-0.
You could go 4-0, but you go 3-1 and you're 5-6, and you're just right back there on the fringe with your bye. And 2 division games against the Dolphins. Tua will be back. How long he's back, depending on what their record is, we'll see.
Yeah.
Seahawks, Jaguars, Rams, and Bills. I mean, there's some wins on there. So
they can still make the playoffs. They can still get to 10-7.
I think the implied odds are 30% playoffs.
Yeah,
based on
the real problem is the quarterback ain't the quarterback they thought they were getting.
Would they trade Rodgers for Russ right now?
Probably not, because Russ has only done it once. But if Russ did it again, the trade deadline is after next weekend, right?
Yeah, I mean it's not a realistic trade. I'm just
it's
wondering
not.
if they would
I'd want to see it again if I were were any team. But
I think you have to go 3-1. You an absolute must-win game at New England this week. You can't lose at New England and go 2-6.
If the Jets go 2-6, they should also consider trading some assets.
Trading Devontae Adams.
All right, real quick, we have like a minute. Kansas City 6-0. They look like they're playing like butt.
Patrick Mahomes is the second quarterback in the last 30 years with more interceptions than touchdowns for a 6-0 team. Do you know the other one?
Aaron Rodgers.
2015 Peyton Manning.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, for Denver. Yeah. He couldn't throw it all.
The Chiefs. Look, here's the thing about the Chiefs, though. I said before the season, and I'll go quick, there's a chance that maybe they go nuclear and just destroy everybody with all these new weapons. That's not happening, obviously. Rashee Rice, Isaiah Pacheco hurt. But they're 6-0, and they have Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid. And we saw what happened when they limped offensively to the playoffs last year and just rolled. So this is just what you do early. You stack wins. You figure out who you are. They are the new Patriots. This is what New England did for years. They're just the new Patriots, and they're probably going to three-peat and annoy everybody.
I don't know if they're going to three-peat, but they're going to make a run at it. I don't think there's any question they're going to make a run. They're going to win that division. By the way, I look forward to the Buffalo Bills clinching before Thanksgiving. That is Will Brinson, senior NFL writer, CBSSports.com. He sorts the Sunday pile. My friend, I will talk to you next week.
All right, buddy. See you, man.
You got it. When we come back, one-timers, where Victoria will throw questions at me rapid fire, and I will fend them off like Pyotr Kochetkov. I don't know. Next.
Going beyond the box scores. Adam Gold on the North Carolina Sports Network.
Trust ACT Construction Equipment and Bandit Wood Chippers and Stump Grinders to position your tree service for success. ACT Construction Equipment is your authorized dealer for sales, service, parts, and rentals for Bandit Wood Chippers and Stump Grinders. ACT Construction Equipment has been your authorized dealer for Bandit equipment for over 10 years. Visit one of our 6 North and South Carolina locations or actce.com for more details on Bandit Wood Chippers and Stump Grinders. ACT Construction Equipment, always the right equipment for the job.
Some call it overplanning. At Alternative Power, we call it foresight. Be prepared for the next power outage with a Generac home standby generator. After sensing a power outage, a Generac generator automatically restores your home's power, whether you're home or away. Generac, it's not just a generator, it's a power move. Act now for a free 10-year warranty on a Generac home standby generator. Terms and conditions apply. See more at alternativepower.com. Alternative Power, North Carolina's Generac experts.
Kamala Harris gets that everyday costs are too high. She has real plans to tackle price gouging, cut taxes for middle-class families, and make life more affordable. Her opponent's plan?
Donald Trump plans to impose what is, in effect, a national sales tax. On everyday products, it will mean higher prices on just about every one of your daily needs. A Trump tax on gas, a Trump tax on food, a Trump tax on clothing, a Trump tax on over-the-counter medication. Donald Trump's plan would cost a typical family $3,900 a year. When everyday prices are too high, he will make them even higher.
Kamala Harris, A better plan for lowering costs for a future we can afford. Paid for by FFPAC, ffpac.org, not authorized by any candidate or candidates committee. FFPAC is responsible for the content of this advertising.
The 2024 elections are just around the corner, and older voters are the nation's most active. The AARP North Carolina Voters Guide has information about upcoming election dates, registration deadlines, and voting options in North Carolina, such as voting by mail, early voting, or voting with a disability. Find the guide in the voters section at aarp.org/NC and listen each week to AARP Without Limits for important election news and much more. You can find the latest episodes of AARP Without Limits wherever you listen to your podcasts.
Psst. Hello there. It's me, your internal clock. Yes, the one you sleep through on weekends. You've probably heard my TikToks, but I'm straight up sounding the bell now. It's almost time to start applying for college. That means you got transcripts to gather, letters of rec to request, and campus tours to schedule. But hey, we got time, and we've got CFNC. CFNC.org can help us plan, apply, and pay for college. We got this, trust me. Just visit CFNC.org to help us stay on time.
Did you know Atlantic hurricane season runs through November? From gathering necessary supplies to planning an evacuation route, now is the time to make sure you and your family are prepared. And if a storm damages our electric system, local public power providers are ready to respond and restore power quickly and safely. As a public power customer, you benefit from having an electricity provider that restores power faster than other providers do. Visit electricities.com for storm preparation tips and resources.
Are you struggling with your Medicare drug costs? The NC Department of Insurance SHIP program may be able to help. The Extra Help and Medicare savings programs are available for those who qualify, but you have to apply. Contact SHIP today to see if you qualify. Visit ncshiip.com or call toll-free at 855-408-1212. SHIP provides free, unbiased help in all 100 counties.
Project supported by grants from the Administration for Community Living. Contents do not necessarily represent official views of, nor an endorsement by ACL, HHS, or the U.S. government.
This is Adam Gold.
Thank you very much for your time, man. We will talk again.
Adam, anytime for you, my friend.
Thank you. I don't know why it makes me laugh. Why does that make me laugh?
I don't know. Maybe you just are used to people being mean to you or something, like Twitter. I don't know.
The Adam Gold Show.
Is that the dance?
It is at the dance. It's the dance scene.
What a great, great movie. Gosh, what a great movie.
I know.
God. Shout out to Dr. Brown, which also is a great carbonated beverage. This is the Adam Gold Show. I am Adam Gold. That is Victoria. Top of the hour. We'll go through all the news of the day again, as well as kind of recap a Hurricanes weekend in Pittsburgh and St. Louis. And the Western Canada portion of the road trip begins tomorrow night with the Hurricanes playing at Edmonton, who nobody knows what's going on there.
Yeah.
It's off to a very, very weak start. And, of course, the Hurricanes are going there. Yeah, it's going to get well sometime. I hope it doesn't happen tomorrow night. All right, we will get to that. Right now, one-timers.
Yes. Well, kicking things off so we can move along from it, let's talk Panthers. So, do you think it is a lack of talent at this point on the roster, or has just their mental kind of been a factor in these losses?
It's all, rolled up into one. It's one giant stew of trash.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like, I'm not kidding. They played like a team that felt good about the loss to Atlanta.
Yeah.
I was stunned. I was stunned that there was no commitment to running the football. Mm-hmm. I was stunned at how quickly they let it all go away, rather than say, wait, Jaden Daniels isn't here? Like, maybe you kind of perk up and go, hey, let's just see how long we can hang around. As it turned out, that was the first quarter.
Mm-hmm.
That was it. I was nauseated by the game yesterday.
Yeah.
And what was worse is that like, I'm not blaming anything here, okay? I'm not blaming what I do. Like, what a waste of a Sunday afternoon.
Yeah.
What an absolute waste. I could have watched Kansas City, San Francisco instead.
Mm-hmm. I know. It was
absolute, utter waste of everybody's time.
And it was such a pretty day outside,
It was gorgeous.
too.
It was, yes.
I know. Well, if you were Dave Canales, we know what he has been saying to media, which is nauseating at this point. But what would you say in the locker room to this Panthers team if you were Dave, to at least motivate them, or I don't know, just say anything?
Dave, no, I'm proud of you guys.
Yeah.
I'm proud.
We're doing
proud of you
great.
guys. You guys doing well. Great week of practice. We had great meetings.
Yeah.
We had a wonderful bagel this morning. It was great. We were all great. No, I don't know. I don't understand how yesterday's press conference wasn't all about, well, that was about as bad as it could have possibly gone. I just don't know. You have to maintain some level of honesty. Always remember this. When you are a coach and you are speaking, you are not speaking to your team. You've already spoken to your team. You are speaking to your fans. Get that through your head.
Yeah, well, we'll see how that works. Now, moving on to, maybe actual football that's going to happen tonight. We've got a doubleheader when it comes to Monday Night Football. But sticking with the NFC South Division, the Buccaneers are taking on the Ravens tonight. Battle of the offenses. So what do you think will be a factor that helps one of these teams grab the win? All right.
My apologies.
You didn't hear any of that, did you?
Well, no, I don't. We had a meeting today, and the big boss was talking about attention span, and I just fell into it. I was thinking about something. Which two teams were we talking about?
We have the Buccaneers and the Ravens tonight.
Baltimore is so good.
Yeah.
But when they give up their first two games of the season, they can't afford, with the Steelers being as good as they are, to leave that division up to those two games. Baltimore needs this win tonight. They absolutely have to win this game tonight. Tampa, I think, can win the division without winning it.
Oh, yeah.
I think the Ravens need to get this win tonight.
I'm sure that they will. And you know what? I might have to save the last one for tomorrow.
Especially since Gold's not going to be listening anyway.
Yeah, and it's
that
a
was
good
just
one.
utter embarrassing. So I'm sorry about that. My gosh. All right, when we come back, get my train of thought back here. We are going to go through the news of the day. Mike Houston fired at ECU, and the Canes go 1-1.
Serving it up hot and fresh every day. Adam Gold on the North Carolina Sports Network.
Hey, it's Adam Gold, and the NBA is back, and FanDuel is America's #1 sports book for a reason, and they want you to catch up on all the action. And right now, FanDuel is giving all users 3 months of NBA League Pass. All you have to do to catch every buzzer beater, place any $5 wager on the NBA. Hey, are the Knicks going to be a failed chemistry experiment? Are Bronny and LeBron going to play together? My gosh, so many good things. FanDuel.com/Adam Gold. Get 3 months of NBA League Pass courtesy of FanDuel. Make every moment more with FanDuel, official sportsbook partner of the NBA. 21 and over and present in North Carolina. After 3-month free trial, the full price of League Pass will be automatically charged monthly. Cancel anytime. No refunds. Terms, restrictions, and embargoes apply. Limit 1 pass per customer. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call 877-718-5543 or visit morethanagame.nc.gov.
Military veterans and active duty service members, you could become a certified cyber warrior with just 12 weeks of training at My Computer Career. Cybersecurity specialists are in high demand, and IT pros with these skills often enjoy abundant opportunity and a great lifestyle. Protect our people, liberty, and treasured institutions from cyber threats. GI Bill, SkillBridge, and other VA benefits are available to those who qualify. Learn more at mycomputercareer.edu/CWP. That's mycomputercareer.edu/CWP.
Hey girl, haven't seen you downtown lately.
Nope, sticking to our go-to places.
You mean like Sharky's?
Well, we love our Sharkies. Best wings and gumbo on the planet. But we never miss the $5 sangrias on Wednesdays at the new Salt and Lime and Mexican pints on Thursdays for $3.
You know my boy loves the House of Hops. No better selection of craft beer in the state. loves their specials, their food trucks, and you know I love my wine. They have a wonderful selection.
And have I told you about our new takeout spot, Che Empanadas? It's right next to Sharky's. They have 20 different types of authentic Argentinian empanadas, and they are incredible, especially the breakfast ones. You gotta try it.
Sounds perfect. And how awesome is it that they're so close to each other?
Yes.
Give them a try. Che Empanadas, House of Hops, Salt and Lime, and Sharky's. Just a hop, skip, and a jump from each other off Durham Road, Glenwood, and Grove Barton.
Meet Cheryl. Hey. She's on vacation and lost in the moment. Unfortunately, so is her Chase debit card.
It's gotta be somewhere.
Maybe she lost it at salsa night.
These skirts should have pockets.
Or maybe she lost it at Pilates.
3 and 2 and...
But she's not worried. With the Chase mobile app, she can lock her card till it turns up. Tools that help protect. One bank that puts you in control. Visit chase.com/checking. Chase, make more of what's yours.
Chase mobile app is available for select mobile devices. Message and data rates may apply. JP Morgan Chase Bank, N.A. member FDIC.
From the Canes to the Panthers to all of the college sports in the Triangle, we cover it all on the Best of the Drive with Tim Donnelly podcast. Brought to you by Coach Pete at Capital Financial Advisory Group. Visit us at capitalfinancialusa.com.
It's Tim Donnelly for Window Nation. It's getting cold. Your heating bills are on the rise, and your house's old and damaged windows are letting all of that heat and your money go right out the window. Good thing there's Window Nation. Right now, buy 2 windows, get 2 free. Plus, pay nothing for 24 months. You'll love your windows like Albert, who says great value, great product, and great customer service. Hurry, sale ends October 31st, so schedule a fast in-home estimate right now at 866-90-NATION or at windownation.com.
This hour of the Triangle Sports Leader is powered by Ritchie Law Firm, injury lawyers. Ritchie Law is on top of it. Go to ritchielaw.com.
That's ritchielaw.com.
They score! WCMC HD1 Holly Springs. Take us with you on radio, web, app, Alexa, and YouTube. 99.9 The Fan, the Triangle Sports Leader.
You're listening to The Adam Gold Show on the North Carolina Sports Network.
Our kicking game's atrocious. So if you can kick and you're at Arizona State, email me, right? We're going to have kicking tryouts on Monday. Bring it on, kicking tryouts Monday. Let's go. Yeah, I'm dead serious. We're going to put it out on our social. We're going to have a kicking tryout on Monday. We got to find somebody who can make a field goal. But, you know, it is what it is. Like, we got to do a better job getting him in the better mental state to kick. But at the same token, I got to do a job, and I got to get guys on the field that can perform in those situations as well. And, you know, we'll go to work and we'll get better, and we'll have a tryout and see if somebody's good enough. And if somebody's not, then you know what? Status quo, keep going to work. If somebody is, then, you know, we'll add them to the team and rock and roll from there.
That's Ken Dellingham, the head coach at Arizona State.
Who really wants a kicker?
They were only 0 for 2 in the game. I don't know what length the kicks were. Ian Hershey is their kicker.
Mm-hmm.
He might not be their only kicker. They might have others. Don't accuse me of having paid one lick of attention to Arizona State football, but
I think the Jets are going to be asking for the same thing here soon.
Well, they got another kick blocked, but they missed 2 in the. They could have beaten the Bills.
Oh yeah,
the Bills weren't any good either that day.
Yeah,
but
their line with the double doink.
They also missed a couple of kicks, I believe.
Yeah, it was super windy that last weekend. Apparently,
yeah, it was.
That's what they kept
saying. You got a field goal blocked. Whatever. The Jets were bad. 7 for 12 is Ian Hershey from Arizona State. And look, I hope they find somebody on campus who can make a field goal.
Yeah.
I would love to see random Arizona State student running onto the field and kicking.
Well, we've seen what Pat McAfee can bring out of the woodwork. Like,
true.
he'll get random people who can kick field goals, so who knows?
But they never make them.
There was one guy who actually did.
Oh, did it? Okay.
Yeah. It was like really impressive too. So they just got to figure out who that guy is.
This may be last year, Gronk was there on set, and the guy was so confident, super confident, and then missed it wide left.
Yeah.
And then McAfee gave him another opportunity to win like a portion of the money, and he nailed it.
Right. Yeah.
But that was the second time. First time, you don't get a mulligan.
Yeah, no.
You get one try at a field goal.
That's it.
And that's it. We're sorry. The other team gets the ball now.
Speaking of Gronkowski, I mean, what a joke. Sorry. PFL. So we had that this weekend. PFL, it's a different kind of MMA like UFC, but it's a different organization. Okay. And him and Ray Lewis were here like commentating on stuff. And all I kept thinking is, who cares what this guy thinks? Sorry, that's just a random. You said Gronkowski
and Ray Lewis?
And Ray Lewis were like at this PFL thing, and I just thought, okay, they should be calling me. What is this?
Yeah, well, they probably should be calling you.
What is this?
It's no good.
Oh, yeah. Do a commercial, Gronk. But she's not even really good at that
no good.
either.
Oh, well. All right, let's, should we start?
Sure.
All right. So let's just start with the Carolina Panthers. We'll go through it quickly. We don't need to spend any great length of time on this. And this is what's running through my head as I am watching the first part of the game.
Dumpster fire?
Well, that always runs through my head. But remember last week in the loss to Atlanta, I thought it was easy to, oh man, that's a positive. Right before the end of the half, saying to Andy Dalton, we're going to try and keep this game tight. And they go down the field, they call timeouts, they go down the field and score a touchdown. It's a great drive.
Mm-hmm.
And until Dalton threw the interception late, that game was there. It was a game that they could have actually won. So I thought, look, I'm not about moral victories, but I saw some things that I liked. I saw some things I liked in the head coach. I saw some things we liked in some young players. Coker, Leggett, Sanders, right?
Yeah.
We saw some really good things.
That's promising.
Chuba Hubbard continuing to run the ball.
Oh, big time.
And then they go to Washington. They throw an interception on a screen pass because Dalton panicked. He could have easily rolled out and either gained some yards or rolled out and threw the ball away. He could have done that. He could have thrown the ball because if you look at the video, Miles Sanders, if he catches the ball, it's a loss of 5. So, Dalton, throw the ball at his feet.
Mm-hmm.
Hit him in the shoe with it.
Right.
But he zips it past his ear. It goes right to Dante Fowler. He runs it back for a touchdown. So that is about your quarterback utterly panicking, which in the first, was that the first drive?
It was very close to the beginning of the game.
If it was either it was the first drive or second drive, I apologize for blacking out.
Same.
So, having watched the first half, all I could think of was and I thought this after the Dalton interception, if I were a fan and I weren't already checked out on Bryce Young, and I know that the overwhelming majority of the fan base does not want to see Bryce Young play. But play the thought experiment with me here. If I were a fan and I hadn't already been checked out on Bryce Young, I would be like, let's put the kid in.
Mm-hmm.
Because Dalton was no good yesterday. That was terrible. And as good as he was in the first few starts, that's how bad he was yesterday. And how unthreatening they were offensively yesterday. And then, in the second half, they're down 27-0, and they're still rolling Andy Dalton out there as though they're trying to win something. And all I could think of was, and I wanted to tweet it out before halftime, but I didn't care enough in terms, I care, but I didn't want to engage, right? I didn't want to put something like, this would be a great time to see if Bryce Young has anything, if he has learned anything from the last 5 weeks of not playing, to see if he can play a half of football. Not one series, but see if he can play a half. And nope, we kept running Andy Dalton out there to stink. And all I could think of was, this is organizational malpractice. I thought that they had already moved on from Bryce Young. This just confirmed it to me. Because if you hadn't, if you still think that there is a possibility that he could be your quarterback next year, then this was a perfect chance for him to go out and deal with a situation. the offensive line was as intact as it's going to be. So let him go play.
Yeah.
Nope. We wasted another quarter and a half of Andy Dalton football, bad Andy Dalton football at that, in a non-competitive situation. I have used this term so many times, it's crazy. I should put it on a T-shirt, a coffee mug, and a bucket hat.
Well, we would have a collection.
We should do this.
Mm-hmm.
Or teams do not win. Organizations win. The Panthers will never win until they figure out what their plan is. They will never win. You can have a team that wins every once in a while. But if you look at the consistently successful franchises in the NFL, it starts with ownership and trickles down.
And they know their identity. And I feel like they're constantly trying to figure it out, even though they know what their identity should be. They just don't do it.
Dave Canales keeps saying it. We're a running football team that doesn't run.
Run the ball.
You know what? Show me the difference between Dave Canales and Matt Rule, who said that a lot too and still never ran the ball.
Mm-hmm.
You know who ran the ball? Steve Wilkes ran the ball.
Yeah, he did.
Right? Did they go 6-6 with a crap team with Steve Wilkes running the ball? Yeah. Why? This is our identity. This is how we do it. Steve Wilkes got it. Nobody else apparently does.
Mm-hmm.
All right. I'm done complaining about the what are they? The Carolina Panthers. Let's talk about the Carolina Hurricanes. So, to me, and 1-1 over the weekend, win in Pittsburgh, loss in St. Louis. And if we are being honest, we would say the Hurricanes played 5 great periods, because I think they did. I think they played 5 great periods. 5 great periods should be 2-0, but it's not. It's 1-1. Okay, we've seen this before. Early in the season, they have played, 4 games. They're 2 wins and 2 losses, heading to Edmonton tomorrow night. But I thought, and I said this on the podcast, I did not watch the game live. Well, not enough of the game. I didn't see the first period live. I went back and I watched a good chunk of it yesterday. And I was in it. I was kind of sporadic in the second period, but I watched all of the third period. And I said this on the podcast Friday night after the Canes beat Pittsburgh, which was a top to bottom dominating effort. Carolina was so much better than the Penguins on Friday night. It was laughable. The Penguins, who have been scoring a bunch of goals, were unthreatening and anemic with Malkin playing well, with Crosby playing well, with Ricard Raquel, both offensive blue line guys, Erik Karlsson and Chris Letang, both playing well. It was like they were minor leaguers. Carolina was so much better. But the game went to the third period on Friday night against Pittsburgh, and it was 3-1 Carolina. And I said this, I actually tweeted it out during the game. It bothered me that the game was just 3-1 because considering how one-sided the play was, Pittsburgh is just 1 goal away from suddenly making this thing interesting. And then Carolina gives up the power play early in the third period to the Penguins, and they kill it off. And Pittsburgh really wasn't threatening even on that power play. Carolina kills off the power play, and then they basically coast home. They get the next goal, make it 4-1, and that was it. That game was basically over. But it shouldn't have been a game going to the third period. It should have been, 5-1, 6-1 going to the third, because the fact that Carolina only got 1 goal in a dominant first period, in my opinion, was sort of criminal. It's so many chances to score. Matter of fact, they didn't even score the first goal. Pittsburgh scored the first goal. Jackson Blake equalized 64 seconds later. That kid might be really good.
I'm excited for him.
We're early in this process, but in the third period, Rod already bumped him up with Natchez and Kokoniemi. So he's already playing in a second line role. Be interested to see if that continues tomorrow. Anyway, So that concerned me. And then it bit them Saturday in St. Louis. Because, again, one-sided hockey in the first period. Carolina scores less than 90 seconds in. Great shift from the top line. Aho, Jarvis, Svechnikov eventually scores. Jarvis steals it, gets into Aho. Great pass to Svechnikov's side of the net. Andre's shot wasn't great, but it went off the goaltender's skate and in. 1-0 Carolina. And then they dominated the next 18 and a half minutes and got nothing. And I'm thinking, again, I'm going back to Friday. They should be further ahead. And that's what happened to them on Saturday. That period has to be worth more than one goal. And if it's 2 or maybe 3 like it should have been, now we're talking about a different second period. They fell asleep for 3 minutes. St. Louis scored 3 goals. Ultimately, the Blues won it 4-3. Carolina came out and played a good third. Scored twice early. Power play goal. Shane Gostisbehere, goals in 3 straight. They get another Roslovic goal. He scored in 2 straight games. And they had plenty of other chances, but not too long after the Hurricanes tied it. Kasperi Kapanen, which honestly bothers me to hear a guy named Kapanen score on the Hurricanes, considering his dad is, kind of a borderline Canes legend. That was a mistake by Natchez at the defensive blue line, losing control of a puck. And then Kapanen is super fast, and he kind of caught Brent Burns flat-footed. But if we're being honest, if we go back and look at the 4 goals that St. Louis scored, I think we just want a little bit better from Pyotr Kochetkov. And so, I want Pyotr to be the guy too. But of those 4 goals that were scored, could do better. Could do better. Like, specifically on the Kapanen goal, I think he could have done better. Like, he was back a little bit. I think maybe he was caught in between the poke check and just playing it straight. But I think if he plays it straight and is attacking, he's not as small because he was down. Anyway, disappointing that Carolina didn't get anything out of that game. They should have. They were way better than St. Louis, and you got 0 out of the game. All right, we're going to take a break. We're going to come back. John Manuel, Pro Scout, Minnesota Twins, on this World Series between the Yankees and the Dodgers, which, historically speaking, is the biggest in Major League Baseball history, and it is the most played World Series matchup ever in baseball history. Is that good for baseball? I will argue 1 billion times over yes. We'll even get into a little salary cap discussion. John Manuel joins us next.
Raleigh to Boone, Charlotte to Chapel Hill. Your Carolina is covered. Adam Gold on the North Carolina Sports Network.
Listen every afternoon for The Drive with Tim Donnelly.
It's fire sale time for the Panthers. This season is a wash, so go ahead and look at your roster. Pick your untradables. Maybe J.C. Horn, Derek Brown, some of the rookies. Everybody else, put up the for sale sign. Move some closer to the street at the garage sale so everybody knows their price to move. But you have to start thinking about the future. This season's a wash.
The Drive with Tim Donnelly, 3 to 6 on 99.9 The Fan.
Hey, it's Adam Gold from my man, Coach Pete Deruta, Capital Financial Advisory Group, and we are here to talk about planning for your retirement. Actually, I'm not here to do that because I am bad at it. You should have Coach Pete Deruta talk to you about it because he is the best at it, and I am going to help you get with Coach Pete for free. No joke. 888-843-0013 or text Adam to 600-700, and we will get you in front of Coach Pete Deruta for a total customized retirement plan for free. It's a $1,000 value. If you don't know me, call today, 888-843-0013. Then you can find out how to properly set yourself up in retirement so you can do whatever it is you want. So if you want to hike, you can hike. If you want to paint, you can paint. If you want to play golf, you can play golf, even if you're bad at it. because Coach Pete D'Arruda is great at retirement planning. 888-843-0013 for Coach Pete D'Arruda.
It's bow time. It's not just football season. It's tailgate season, and that includes every kind of football, whether it's got goalkeepers or goalposts. The kick is good! Because it doesn't matter where or how you tailgate. When you've got crispy chicken and fluffy buttermilk biscuits from Bojangles, your tailgate is better than great. It's legendary. Head to Bojangles and order your tailgate box with boldly seasoned chicken, fixins, biscuits, and legendary iced tea today. It's bow time.
Planning a tailgate? Then it's bow time. Bojangles has everything you need for the perfect tailgate, no matter how many fans you're trying to feed. There's the original tailgate, the super tailgate, and for a really big crowd, the jumbo tailgate special. And if you like your chicken off the bone, choose the Supreme's tailgate special that includes 12 perfectly seasoned tenderloin fillets. So grab the tickets, get that Bojangles tailgate special, and go. It's bow time.
Want to score points with your boss? Recruit RoofWorks to your building maintenance team to handle your commercial roofing needs. Hi, this is Holly with RoofWorks. We've helped hundreds of Triangle businesses with their commercial roof maintenance, repairs, and if necessary, total replacements. Our pros come to your site, assess your roofing needs, and then give you a range of options to fit your budget. And we'd love to work with you. For roof maintenance and repair, contact us today at roofworks.com. That's roof, WERKS.com.
Mitchell Heating and Cooling. We do the job right every time.
Protect your heating and cooling system like my offensive line protects me. I'm Drake May, quarterback at UNC. Mitchell Heating and Cooling has been committed to your comfort for 50 years and counting. Call Mitchell Heating and Cooling today.
Contact us now at mitchellhvac.com or 919-556-5069. Train. It's hard to stop a train.
The best solutions every time.
Hey, at Total Wine & More, you'll love what you find this Halloween.
Me thirsty.
Oh, hey Frankenstein. Did you enjoy that Cabernet?
Oh, good. Want new red.
Well, all the villagers are raving about this red blend.
Ooh.
And we have it at the lowest price in town.
Economical.
Find what you love and love what you find with the totally lowest prices for Halloween. Only at Total Wine & More.
Drink responsibly, B21.
This is Adam Gold.
And I did have to use two screens at one point, or a couple of points, and I don't like it. I can't watch two games at the same time.
There's a lot going on.
I'm sorry. I'm incapable of doing that. Because there were times where, I forgot this other game was on in front of me.
Yeah.
The Adam Gold Show.
It's the Adam Gold Show. I am Adam Gold. Victoria producing the program. We have a Yankees-Dodgers World Series. This will be the 12th time these two franchises have squared off in the Fall Classic. The first was in 1941, and then get this, 1949, 52, 53, 55, 56. So in an 8-year span, they met 5 times.
That's crazy.
In the World Series.
Wow.
Now, far fewer teams, right? The Dodgers were in Brooklyn for the first 4 of for all 5 of those. Then they met once in the 60s after they moved to LA. After the 56 World Series, Dodgers left town. They won in 55 for the first time ever beating the Yankees. Left town after losing in 56. They met in 63, Dodgers won again, and then 77, 78, 81.
Oh, nice.
So 3 times in 5 years. But it's been a minute since the Yankees were the best team in the American League, but the Dodgers pretty much over the last 4, 5, 6 years have been consistently either the best team in the National League or among them. And we're finally getting this matchup. I'm not a Yankee fan by any stretch of the imagination, nor am I a Dodgers fan by any stretch of the imagination. I don't hate the Dodgers. I mean, I'm a Mets fan, so I don't like the Yankees. John Manuel, pro scout, Minnesota Twins, my friend, former editor-in-chief, Baseball America. So let's start with a big picture question about this. I mean, how are you? I know on the surface this is a good deal for Major League Baseball because they are getting the 2 highest profile teams in the sport. But ultimately, Is this good for baseball?
I think, as I've thought about this, I think it's good once. I think if you did it like you did it in the 50s, that would be not the greatest.
Right.
I think every year, or even if it's happened 3 times in 5 years. I do think in general, we've had a decent run of big market teams. I'm thinking back to the Cubs in 2016, which I think is the highest rated World Series in the last decade or so.
Right.
But the Dodgers have been in a lot. The Red Sox Dodgers 2018. There wasn't a lot of tradition there in terms of the those two franchises, but that was a pretty big deal. And obviously the Astros, it's a huge market, number one. And by 2022, there was a team that people like to hate. So I think it helps to have a heel. I don't know if you always want 2 heels.
Are these 2 teams heels?
These are 2 heels.
Are they both heels? I mean, I don't know. I hadn't thought about it in those terms. The Yankees are always heels to me.
Country it is.
Okay.
I think when you have $300 million payrolls, it kind of makes you. I don't know if it makes you NWO or if it makes you the Four Horsemen. I can't go WWE. I grew up in North Carolina, so
gotcha.
I liked the Four Horsemen. They were fun, but I didn't like the other. I couldn't like them and other heels at the time. I couldn't like them and Nikita Khrushchev at the same time.
Well, that's part of it, I guess, right? The payrolls are part of it. Would the Mets have been a heel?
I mean, no, but that's because they're the Mets. I mean, I do think it's a little different despite the $300 million.
Right, because they had the highest payroll.
Right, and they haven't won since 1986.
I know.
So,
I'm with you on that.
I believe you are familiar with this. So I think in the big picture, I do think it's going to be good for 1 year. And I just listened to the commissioner talking about this. 2023 was a good year for the sport with the pitch clock and the changes, and then things continued to go in a positive direction in 2024. So this making revenue, big ratings, a lot of eyeballs in this postseason. I think this will finish with a strong World Series with these 2, I think, good teams. And also I think a lot of people will watch. So kind of where we go from here as a sport. I think if this happens 4 times out of 6 years, I think it'll tell you that the imbalances economically in the sport have led to too great of an imbalance. So I think we have to see some, I think in the short term, good, but I don't think we want to have this kind of matchup every year of the behemoths playing each other.
John Manuel, Pro Scout, Minnesota Twins, at John Manuel NC on Twitter. Last year's World Series gave us a 6 seed versus a 5 seed. Rangers and Phillies, with the Rangers winning it. Now, Dallas is a big market. Philadelphia is a big market. But those are 2 non-traditional powers, even though the Phillies have been good for a number of years in a row. Houston.
The D-backs. It was the D-backs. Don't forget, they knocked off the Phillies. Phillies were the year
I'm sorry, my
before
fault.
Houston.
My fault. That's right. It was the Diamondbacks.
That's okay.
Phoenix is also a big city.
6 seeds. But you had 6 seeds back-to-back years in the National League with the Phillies in 22, and the Diamondbacks in 23. So
yeah. Maybe I didn't watch enough baseball last year, and I
wasn't going to say it.
I was blending two seasons together. But we've had a run of, regardless of whether they're, because I think we have to pare the conversation down from big market to big revenue teams, right? Because for the most part, I mean, because the difference between the Mets and the Yankees in terms of the same market, right, is that, and they're both big revenue teams, is that the Mets have not done enough. I've argued so often that payroll size, it gives you margin for error, but it doesn't guarantee you a single thing in the sport.
Right.
Because Chicago is the 3rd biggest market. Los Angeles is the 2nd, right? And three of the most feudal franchises in the sport are based in those markets. The Cubs have had some success. The White Sox are a train wreck, the worst team we've ever seen this year. And the Angels, when was the last time the Angels were a threat? So we've seen...
they set a franchise record for losses this year with 99. So you look no further than the Yankees. 4 years ago, and I don't mean to pick on a player because I work for a rival team, so I'm not saying anything negative about DJ LeMahieu.
Right.
But DJ LeMahieu had a great year for the Yankees. They acquired him from Colorado. It looked like a great move. He was a really good player for the Yankees. They signed him to a 6-year, $90 million contract extension. And I think this is the third or fourth year of that contract, and DJ LeMahieu is nowhere to be seen on their playoff roster because he had a terrible year, and that's just objective. But so they make a mistake like that, which is what that is. That contract is a debit, not an asset.
Right.
If you're looking at it from a financial perspective, they can go out because they have the payroll and go acquire a Jazz Chisholm who basically replaces DJ LeMahieu on the roster. And that's what that illustrates the point that you've been making, that payroll really allows them to make up for a mistake. And then you have to go out and get the right player. And I thought at the time maybe that wasn't the right player. I think Jazz Chisholm has been the right player for the Yankees, and I think Brian Cashman deserves a lot of credit for making that move.
He absolutely does, and Brian Cashman has been kind of raked over the coals at times in New York for being not good at his job, and I would argue that he should go into the freaking Hall of Fame as a general manager because the Yankees have had some bad contracts and some players that haven't worked out, but at the same time, they keep figuring out a way to either when they dip, not dipping very far, and then bouncing right back up. And yes, a lot of that is the ability to go out and sign a Garrett Cole who wouldn't sign with either Pittsburgh or Houston, or go out and trade for a Juan Soto who wasn't going to stay with the San Diego Padres because there was a limit to how many superstar contracts that the Padres could have, and they've got a bunch. They have invested a lot of money into that team. No
doubt.
But Cashman has done a very good job at continuing to rebuild and reconstruct the Yankees. It's always made me laugh, the criticism of Brian Cashman, because all they have done for the most part is win to a point. Because, correct me if I'm wrong, 15 years, right, since the Yankees won a World Series?
This is their first pennant in 15 years. And I was definitely, in my old job and on the media side, I was a pretty heavy critic of Brian Cashman. And I think I would boil it down to they didn't stay true to – I think they let the analytics take them a little bit away from the tried and true things that Yankees teams had done to win, like being offense first behind the plate, not trying to win on the fringes with pitch framing and that kind of stuff. I'm thinking Posada, Bill Dickey, Thurman Munson, Yogi Berra, Elson Howard. They won with offense-first catchers. And then they won with left-handed pitching, whether it was Eddie Pettit or CeCe Sabathia or Lefty Gomez or Whitey Ford or Ron Guidry. Just go through the years. And, they actually have remedied that. Carlos Rodon, Holly Springs' own.
There you go.
There's a frontline left-handed pitcher, and they're back in the World Series. I know he struggled last year, but Carlos has been he's looked like the Carlito of old that we used to see over at NC State. Honestly, his fastball's better and his slider's worse than it used to be in some ways.
Wow.
So it'll be really interesting to see how he matches up with a very left-handed, heavy Dodgers staff. But then Austin Wells, the Yankees, I used to criticize them for not drafting very well either. Austin Wells, obviously Aaron Judge is a pretty good draft pick, but Austin Wells, their catcher, has become a good offensive, kind of two-way catcher. They're trying to win with a rookie catcher. That is not easy. So it's I think you have to give Cashman his flowers. I don't remember the rest of the Miley Cyrus lyrics. I'm sorry, but we can give him his flowers because they've never had a losing record on his watch, which is really hard to do. And just in professional sports in general, this guy's going on almost 30 years, 27 years as a general manager, and that's hard enough to do it in a New York market, and to have that level of consistency. Tip of the cap from a Twins organization who calls the Yankees our daddies to Brian Cashman and the Yankees.
We can go back to Joe Nathan, clearly hyperventilating on the mound of the playoffs about 20 years ago. John Manuel, Pro Scout, Minnesota Twins, is joining us here on the Adam Gold Show. So big picture here. Well, no, let me get to one thing before the bigger picture, and then we'll have to say goodbye. It doesn't hurt Major League Baseball at all to have the likes of Mookie Betts, who is one of the best 5 players in the sport, Shohei Ohtani, one of the best 1 players in the sport, Aaron Judge, Giancarlo Stanton playing at the level he is playing at right now, Juan Soto, maybe one of the two best players in the sport, if not one. I mean, they've got the best players in the league. We might not have great high-profile pitching. Rodon is pitching well. Garrett Cole is clearly pitching very well. But we don't have necessarily I'm not even sure we have high-profile starting pitchers anymore because the sport is sort of moving away from them. But we've got, at least 4 of the best 8 players in the league playing in this series. That doesn't hurt, including the fact that Ohtani is bringing record viewership from Japan.
It really is about as star-studded a World Series as I can really ever remember. I mean, that's the thing about it, is that the lineups, the Yankees lineup is a little more top-heavy. Like if Freddie Freeman's healthy, and I don't know that he will be, but it definitely gives them more time, the fact that we don't start till Friday.
Right.
That helps the Dodgers. I think it helps the Dodgers get their pitching a little bit in order. I mean, their pitchers are talented. Yamamoto is the highest-paid pitcher, I think, in the world. Jack Flaherty was a first-round pick, former North Carolina commit. He's a 10th year in pro ball. And Walker Buehler, that guy's good. And I'll tell you, I think he's the key for the Dodgers. Just if I can evaluate a player real quick, I think Walker Buehler is getting better and better. And when they won it all in 2020, their best pitcher was Walker Buehler.
Yeah.
Their second best was Julio Urias, who's now in the Where Are They Now file, deservedly so. But Buehler is also pitching for a contract.
Yep.
So he's coming off his second Tommy John surgery. That guy, I think he's the key. Because I think the biggest area you would give the Dodgers a deficit, I think the Yankees do have better starting pitching, and their bullpen has done very well with some, Tim Hill was a waiver claim. Mark Leiter Jr. was a very small kind of level trade here. So they've shown some depth. The Dodgers bullpen, I think, is better, but the Yankees overall pitching staff, I would give them a little tiny edge. But and I also will remind you, I believe you and I may have done a game together with Luke Weaver pitching for Team USA back in 2013.
Well, Jared Weaver, definitely. I don't know about Luke Weaver.
We definitely did Jared. Luca was on the 2013 team with Carlos Rodon. I can't remember if
I did not do any games with Rodon. I go back like in another 8 or so years. Luke Weaver was pitching in college in 2013. He looks like he belongs in high school today.
He does. He's the rare Florida State ace. Mike Martin didn't used to do that, but yeah, Luke Weaver was a first-round pick and moved very quickly, and is a classic case just from the evaluator in me. If you're a right-handed pitcher and you have a really good changeup and you throw hard, but breaking balls aren't your thing, from my standpoint, you go to the bullpen. And it took Luke Weaver 10 years as a professional to go to the bullpen, finally realize he's not a starting pitcher.
I'm sorry, John.
He's been outstanding.
You know so much about this game, but there's no way you could talk to me and produce affidavits for an hour. There's no way that Luke Weaver has been a pro for 10 years. He looks like he just got his training wheels taken off his bicycle. All right, now I'm going to ask.
Same draft year as Rodon, 2014.
Gosh, that's unbelievable to me.
It is.
All right. I'm going to ask this question, and I'm going to beg you. I need 60 seconds, no more than 60 seconds.
I'll do my best.
Does baseball need a salary cap?
I work for a team that's being sold, and that cut payroll after winning a division. So I think that a salary cap makes more sense for baseball's finances now than it ever has, as the RSN bubble has kind of burst here. So I think if you could find a way for Major League Baseball teams' owners to agree on revenue and what counts as baseball revenue. Does the battery count as baseball revenue or not in Atlanta? If you could find a way to agree on that revenue, then I would actually be more for a salary cap now and the salary floor that comes along with it than I ever have been in my history as a baseball fan. So maybe because I see it more from the Twins' financial perspective than I used to. But it is the gap between the haves and the have-nots has grown to such an extent that I think a cap and floor system has some merit, and I think the players actually might make more money as long as we agree on what that baseball revenue actually is. They might get a higher percentage of that revenue as long as you include all the true baseball revenue.
John Manuel, Pro Scout, Minnesota Twins, very good. You did it. It was like 65 seconds, but that's close. Good enough for us. All right, John. I will talk to you very soon, man. But who's going to win, Yankees or Dodgers?
If I were a betting man, I'd say L.A.
That was the correct answer.
The more talented roster.
That was the correct answer. Shouts to our friend Alan Matthews. All right, John. I'll talk to you later.
Thanks, AG.
Thank you very much, Alan Matthews, mutual friend. Used to actually work with John at Baseball America. Is in like a big wig in scouting with the Dodgers. Real quick about the cap issue, because I have spent a lot of times arguing against a salary cap. Herein lies the problem with Major League Baseball, is that in terms of competitive balance, there is no argument that a salary cap provides that. None. Football's got a salary cap, even though you can circumvent it in any number of ways. And we see the same teams routinely win. Patriots routinely won. Yes, quarterback matters, right? Patrick Mahomes in Kansas City routinely won. There was a time where it was like the Giants or the 49ers. And yes, it is generally quarterback driven. Generally, not always. The NBA Warriors. They were as close as you're going to have to a dynasty, the Miami Heat, right? We have these teams that go on a run where they win all the time, the Spurs, right? If we were talking about competitive balance, where year in and year out, anybody can win, the answer is baseball. Just look at the teams that have made the World Series over the last 15 years. Look at the diversity of teams that have made and won the World Series in the last 15 years. Baseball wins in competitive balance. What John referred to, and we had talked about earlier, was the fact that there's a margin for error that unlimited spending can afford. The Mets have the highest payroll in baseball. Next year, they will not. Well, they might, but they would have to spend a lot of money, new money, in order to get there. The Mets spent bad money. They spent bad money on Max Scherzer. They spent bad money on Justin Verlander. They got rid of both of those players, but were willing to eat the contracts in order to bring something back. So the Mets' payroll this year was super high for a team that really didn't think they were going to win, because they were willing to pay in the neighborhood of $80 million to two pitchers to pitch against them. But they could do it because their owner has billions of dollars and their network, SNY, provides them with a huge cushion on top of the fact that they sell a lot of tickets and have a lot of sponsorship. They make a lot of money as a team. So do the Dodgers. So those deep-pocketed teams do have an advantage. But ultimately, as we have seen from the Rays, the Astros, because there was a time where the Astros, who are in a huge city, were not necessarily a big revenue team. The Orioles the last couple of years, and yes, it didn't go well in the playoffs either year, but they had two great regular seasons. The Royals 10 years ago. We've seen a number of situations where teams that theoretically don't have the finances to compete, not only compete, and the Rays have done this basically on a regular basis for almost 2 decades now, but not only compete, but they win. Because there are different ways to do it. Without convincing Major League Baseball owners to really share revenue, and without talking about this for another half hour, I'll just say fat chance. You could get some more, but you're not going to get true revenue sharing. You can't have a salary cap because there are too many teams that will refuse to spend to a salary floor. Refuse, outright refuse. Because that salary floor would have to be in the neighborhood of $150 million. And I would argue more. Those teams will refuse. The Tigers' payroll in the playoffs this year was under the 25 or 26 players they had on the playoff roster made less than $20 million total because they were all young players or retread players. I was stunned. That team should be allowed to spend what they want because the chance of that working are slim. But there's a reason they do that. There's a reason the Pirates don't spend money. There's a reason why the Rays don't spend money. Because they can win without it. The Rays can't. The Pirates are good enough to sell their players to other organizations when they decide they don't want to pay them, which is exactly what the Pirates do. That's why they don't win. That's why the Rays win. They have good ownership. And they know, and they have a smart way of running a business. All right, I'll stop belaboring the point, but if it's about competitive balance, a salary cap doesn't get you there. So what is it really about? We will stretch. We will place bets. Next.
Raleigh to Boone, Charlotte to Chapel Hill. Your Carolina is covered. Adam Gold on the North Carolina Sports Network.
The NBA is back, and FanDuel, America's #1 sports book, wants you to catch all the action. Adam Gold here, and right now, FanDuel is giving all users 3 months of NBA League Pass. All you have to do to catch every tip-off and buzzer beater is place any $5 bet on the NBA. You don't even have to win it. So, check it out. You can bet the Knicks to win, or you can bet the Knicks to lose. It doesn't matter. They'll probably do both. Go to FanDuel. Just visit FanDuel.com/AGS. Get 3 months of NBA League Pass, courtesy of FanDuel. Make every moment more with FanDuel, official sportsbook partner of the NBA. 21 and over and present in North Carolina. After 3-month free trial, the full price of League Pass will be automatically charged monthly. Cancel anytime. No refunds. Terms, restrictions, and embargoes apply. Limit 1 pass per customer. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call 877-718-5543 or visit morethanagame.nc.gov.
Kamala Harris gets that everyday costs are too high. She has real plans to tackle price gouging, cut taxes for middle-class families, and make life more affordable. Her opponent's plan?
Donald Trump plans to impose what is, in effect, a national sales tax. On everyday products, it will mean higher prices on just about every one of your daily needs. A Trump tax on gas, a Trump tax on food, a Trump tax on clothing, a Trump tax on over-the-counter medication. Donald Trump's plan would cost a typical family $3,900 a year. When everyday prices are too high, he will make them even higher.
Kamala Harris, a better plan for lowering costs for a future we can afford. Paid for by FFPAC, ffpac.org, not authorized by any candidate or candidates committee. FFPAC is responsible for the content of this advertising.
The 2024 elections are just around the corner, and older voters are the nation's most active. The AARP North Carolina Voters Guide has information about upcoming election dates, registration deadlines, and voting options in North Carolina, such as voting by mail, early voting, or voting with a disability. Find the guide in the voters section at aarp.org/NC and listen each week to AARP Without Limits for important election news and much more. You can find the latest episodes of AARP Without Limits wherever you listen to your podcasts.
Psst. Hello there. It's me, your internal clock. Yes, the one you sleep through on weekends. You've probably heard my TikToks, but I'm straight up sounding the bell now. It's almost time to start applying for college. That means you got transcripts to gather, letters of rec to request, and campus tours to schedule. But hey, we've got time, and we've got CFNC. CFNC.org can help us plan, apply, and pay for college. We got this, trust me. Just visit CFNC.org to help us stay on time.
Some call it overplanning. At Alternative Power, we call it foresight. Be prepared for the next power outage with a Generac home standby generator. After sensing a power outage, a Generac generator automatically restores your home's power, whether you're home or away. Generac, it's not just a generator, it's a power move. Act now for a free 10-year warranty on a Generac home standby generator. Terms and conditions apply. See more at alternativepower.com. Alternative Power, North Carolina's Generac experts.
Are you struggling with your Medicare drug costs? The NC Department of Insurance SHIP program may be able to help. The Extra Help and Medicare savings programs are available for those who qualify, but you have to apply. Contact SHIP today to see if you qualify. Visit ncshiip.com or call toll-free at 855-408-1212. SHIP provides free, unbiased help in all 100 counties.
Project supported by grants from the Administration for Community Living. Contents do not necessarily represent official views of, nor an endorsement by ACL, HHS, or the U.S. government.
This is Adam Gold.
Maybe at some point after repeated losing, David Tepper will get out of the way.
Yeah, it's going to be on my Christmas list every year until it happens. So, there.
I wish I could give you that.
I wish
I could put a bow around that for you, Victoria.
Me too.
The Adam Gold Show.
It's the Adam Gold Show. I am Adam Gold. Next hour, Patrick Johnson, 104.3 The Game in Greenville. And we will talk about the Pirates' decision to move on from head coach Mike Houston in the middle of year 6. We will get to that then. But right now we have a little bit of breaking news. It's been a while since we've really talked about it, but the Miami Dolphins have designated Tua Tagovailoa to return. He is going to go through the last stages of concussion protocol this week. He will practice Wednesday, and their plan is to have him start against the Arizona Cardinals on Sunday. Once again, I said this at the time. It is great. It shows compassion and concern that so many fans want Tua to retire. I wish he would. But we all live in this world, and we all know that athletes almost across the board are going to drain every last drop out of a professional career that they can.
Yes.
And Tua is too early in his professional career to be at that position now. So as soon as he was able to play, he was going to, and the Miami Dolphins, who desperately need a quarterback.
So bad.
Because they invested in this team. I'm not saying they don't care about Tua, but his long-term health is not the Dolphins' chief concern. Mm-mm. I'm not saying it's not a concern,
right,
but it's not their number one concern.
No.
If Tua wants to play, Tua's going to play, and Mike McDaniel is going to hand him the keys to that offense.
Yes.
End of discussion.
No surprise.
Time to stretch.
Well, this might be a surprise. Certain foods can make you sleep like crap.
Okay. I'm curious which ones.
So
how many of them I eat?
I know. For me, I looked at this and I was like, oh, no. So, there's a handful of foods and things that will not help you when you sleep. And, as you get older, it is definitely more difficult to get good sleep. So they say foods that you should stay away from. Number 1, processed, quote, junk food. So that's probably not surprising anyone that processed food is on here. But they just say processed junk foods.
Right.
All of it. Anything processed. Then number 2 is anything with a high fat or acid content, which makes sense. I mean, you don't want to lay down after having really spicy food. Number 3, this might get some people, caffeine. That includes coffee, soda, chocolate, stuff like that.
Wait a second.
Bedtime.
We did a study to determine whether or not foods with caffeine
isn't good for you right before you go to sleep. Who knew?
See, I was sort of paying attention, but I got that part.
Yeah, exactly. And then they say the last one, greasy or heavy foods, which to me, the carbiness of it all makes me want to fall asleep. So
what's more greasy than Thanksgiving?
I know. I don't know. To each their own, I guess. Take this as you will. But they do say that there are some foods that are good for you right before bed. Bananas, almonds, cherries, oatmeal. What are people eating right before? Why are you eating oatmeal before you go to bed? Turkey, okay, we already talked about this. Kiwis, Greek yogurt, and warm milk. Is anyone drinking warm milk past the age of 6 months?
I mean, like, hot chocolate is essentially warm milk.
Right, but we can't have the chocolate, so we're doomed.
Right, exactly.
I'm just, warm milk. That's so gross.
What is this, 1952?
So gross. Yeah, it basically is. Speaking of chocolate, I will, I can do this one fast. So, speaking of chocolate, you might have a downfall to your kids' Halloween haul this year because shrinkflation is causing chocolate companies to kind of shrink on the chocolate they're putting into their products, and also those big bags, the variety bags, they're going to be putting less chocolate in it, but of course charging you the same amount because everything is more expensive. But then on top of that, there's been droughts in West Africa and some severe weather, so that's caused a lot of problems when it comes to chocolate. So just be prepared this Halloween that you are going to pay way too much for that bag you've already been paying way too much for, and it's going to have less chocolate.
I'm not buying it then.
So, yeah, I was going to say, just don't.
Not buying it.
Just don't. Buy your own candy bar. Like, just eat that instead of stealing your kids. But anyway, what we could do is maybe make some good bets.
Place your bets. Here. I bet you slice into the woods $100.
Gambling is illegal at Bushwood, sir, and I never slide.
Okay, you can owe me. I owe you nothing.
All football today.
Yes, let's do it.
All the football.
Go
So,
ahead.
starting with the Ravens and the Bucks. Give me an anytime touchdown score. Mike Evans, plus 140.
All right, we'll start with the Ravens and the Buccaneers. I'm going to take Tampa Bay plus the 3.5. I think the Ravens will win this game, but I think they're going to have to pull it out late. Tampa Bay plus 3.5, over 49.5, plus 229.
Okay, the next one, Chargers and the Cardinals. Give me a little curveball, Justin Herbert to be an anytime touchdown score, plus 370.
Oh.
I know, right?
I think the Chargers are going to lose tonight.
Oh.
Give me Arizona outright, which is an even money bet on the money line, under 44.5, plus 243.
Oh, nice. Well, my last one, I am going to take the Bucks as underdogs, home underdogs. They're plus 160 to win. Give me that. Why not?
Very nice. All right. Premier League finishes up match week 8 tonight, or today, 3 o'clock. Crystal Palace is one of 4 sides that is yet to win a match this year. That ends today at the City Grounds, plus 220.
Going beyond the box scores. Adam Gold on the North Carolina Sports Network.
What if you could be debt-free by this January? Get rid of all that high-interest debt, pay off all your credit cards, consolidate everything into one lower payment? Hey, it's Dennis Cox. If you're ready to stop stressing over bills, you need to call Loan Pronto right now. With rates at their lowest in 2 years, this is the perfect chance to use your home's equity and save big going into the new year. Loan Pronto's got rates with APRs in the low 5s, and they're getting homeowners hundreds of thousands out of their home's equity. Homeowners who do this save on average $850 a month. Loan Pronto offers a ton of options, including total refis or their express equity line of credit. So call now. Get a rate quote in just minutes with no hard credit pull and no upfront fees like those other guys. Call today and you won't make a house payment till 2025. LoanPronto.com, 919-381-1760. LoanPronto.com, free rate quote now, 919-381-1760. Equal housing lender, NMLS 1661781, on approved credit, NMLSconsumeraccess.org.
Pack Therapy is in session thanks to First Horizon Bank. It's Tim Donnelly from 99.9 The Fan alongside legendary Wolfpack play caller Mike Glennon.
Every episode of Pack Therapy is your chance to get dialed in with inside information on your team.
We'll set you up for every Wolfpack game all season long.
And we'll break down every contest, what went right and what could have worked better.
Plus, special guests to keep Wolfpack hope alive.
Follow and subscribe to Pack Therapy wherever you discover your favorite podcasts or watch on YouTube.
This is the story of the one. As a facility technician installing a new welding station, he knows getting the ventilation right is critical for safety. That's why when questions arise, there's Grainger. Grainger offers detailed technical product information online at his fingertips, so it's easy to find what he needs. Because when it comes to safety, having answers means he and his people can breathe a little easier. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Who will be crowned king of the court? Find out at DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NBA. Opt in, get a daily NBA Profit Boost token. Pick a pregame NBA player prop to boost to lead the league that night in points plus rebounds plus assists, and win a share of $1 million in bonus bets. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use code TIMD. That's code TIMD with no spaces on DraftKings. The crown is yours. Gambling problem? Call 877-185-543 or visit morethanagame.nc.gov. 21 plus, North Carolina only. Eligibility restrictions apply. One NBA prop bet profit boost per customer. Tokens expire at the start of the final NBA game each day when offered. Use token on PRA Stat Leader to receive equal share of $1 million in non-withdrawable bonus bets that expire in 168 hours. Additional wagering restrictions apply. For additional terms and responsible gaming resources, see dkng.co/bball. From the Canes to the Panthers to all of the college sports in the Triangle, we cover it all on the Best of the Drive with Tim Donnelly podcast. Brought to you by Coach Pete at Capital Financial Advisory Group. Visit us at capitalfinancialusa.com.
Martha was ready to switch to a career in IT.
There's always a need for IT specialists, especially with AI coming out and cybersecurity. It's practically recession-proof.
My Computer Career even provides job placement help.
The career specialists, they're very helpful. They care about you as a person. You're not just a number to them. I would recommend My Computer Career wholeheartedly to anyone.
Take the free career evaluation today. Become an IT pro in just months with zero experience at mycomputercareer.edu.
This hour of the Triangle Sports Leader is powered by Ritchie Law Firm, injury lawyers. Ritchie Law is on top of it. Go to ritchielaw.com.
That's ritchielaw.com.
WCMC HD1 Holly Springs. Take us with you on radio, web, app, Alexa, and YouTube. 99.9 The Fan, the Triangle Sports Leader.
Stanton hits one hard, left field, and this one is going. It is gone! Giancarlo Stanton. He hung him a slider, and he didn't miss it. He has done it again. A homer in 4 of 5 games. He's carrying the Yankees. It's 2-2. Soto sends this one to center. That sends Thomas back. Still going back. He's hit the wall. It's out of here! Juan Soto stops and celebrates in front of the Yankee dugout, and a 3-run home run to dead center on a fastball gives the Yankees a 5-2 lead in the 10th. Juan Soto has his moment.
I mean, big players, man. Juan Soto, Giancarlo Stanton, Aaron Judge starting to hit now too.
Yeah, literally and figuratively.
Yeah, this is going to be a great World Series. I cannot wait. Part of me wants both teams to lose.
Yeah.
I'm a Mets fan. I have no interest in seeing the Dodgers win.
Right.
But I certainly don't have any interest in seeing the Yankees win. But this is going to be a really, really fun World Series. It seems like everybody's best players right now are going well.
Right.
Good luck to the pitchers.
Oh, my
gosh. That's all I got. Good luck to the pitchers. The Dodgers lineup, I don't know how you pitch to it now.
They were running through them last night.
I got a problem here. Who the heck is Tommy Edman?
Oh.
Where did that kid come from? I've been joking around and calling him David. Do you even remember David Eckstein?
No.
Okay, he was a shortstop, played some for the Angels, then the Cardinals for probably a decade or so. And to me, that's what excuse me, I've been joking around talking about Tommy Edman as like David Eckstein, like 2.0.
Right.
He drove in 4 runs yesterday. It was the reason the Dodgers won the game. He was the MVP of the NLCS. He had 11 runs batted in 6 games.
Wow.
Just get out of here.
Yeah.
All right, I'm done. I'm done venting. I enjoyed my fall baseball. I did.
There you go.
I had a good time. I enjoyed watching the Mets. I was in no way I expected last night to be ugly. I really did. Yeah. Totally, it's fine. I was in total peace with it the entire time. I look forward to next year. I think good things are coming for my baseball team. Wall of Sound time.
The Wall of Sound is a function of this studio. There's no doubt about it.
Which will feature no New York Mets sound, and that's fine. Actually, we don't have any baseball sound for this. It's good. I don't care. Because I want to get to some other things. Let's start with the Panthers. I, for the life of me, don't understand why anybody would be happy with this.
No.
I don't, for the life of me.
Unless you're a Commanders fan.
Okay. So Dave Canales was asked if yesterday's 40-7 absolute no-show performance was embarrassing.
I'm proud of our guys. I'm proud of the work that we do. So for me, I never go to that place. For me, it's about honoring the guys that are there, that try their butts off, in practice, and I'm proud of that, But it's got to show up on game day, and we can have great weeks of practice or whatever it is, but the carryover and the mentality, that part needs to be consistent for 4 quarters.
All right, I have several questions off that. First of all, I would remind Dave Canales, and maybe new head coaches need to be reminded of this. So I offer this as advice. When you step in front of a microphone, whether it's after a game or during the week, your audience is the fans. It's not me. It's you, Victoria.
Unfortunately,
right?
Yes.
And when I hear that, I hear, yeah, it's okay.
Yeah.
The loss to Atlanta last week, I could get with.
Mm-hmm.
I'd get with that loss. Because there were good things that happened within that loss. There isn't a single thing that happened on Sunday in Washington.
No.
Not a single thing that is a positive.
That's why I'm asking, what are you proud of?
Well, proud of the guys that tried their butts off. Unless he is saying that not all the guys tried their butts off.
Maybe. Maybe that's his way of throwing that nugget out.
That was an embarrassing comment from Dave Canales.
Mm-hmm.
Almost as embarrassing as the way his football team played. Andy Dalton on the early mistakes.
Yeah, I mean, got out of our hands quick and got away from us, and we can't come out like that. Can't start the way we did. The turnovers hurt us, and we couldn't catch back up.
Yes, you couldn't. I caught a little bit of the Chris Lee, Dennis Cox Panthers podcast on. Just go to the Capital Broadcasting family of podcast networks and go check out what they talk about Panthers playbook. And they were talking about the play calling. And I agree, the play calling has never really at any point been all in on keep pounding. So that's a good place to start, the keep pounding. Be a running team. But this is where, and you never know when you hire a coach, especially somebody who's never been a coach before. You never really know if they are one of those coaches that needs to show that they are the smartest guy in the room. And I'm not suggesting that this is Dave Canales yet. But the identity is we're a running football team, we're a running football team, we're a running football team. And yet, somehow, while acknowledging that identity, he has refused to play to that identity. So somewhere in the process, Canales has either decided, well, I just don't think we can run the ball, which would be a fair reason to not run the ball.
Even though we've seen what Chuba can do.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Evidence says to us that that they can run the ball. But maybe he doesn't believe they can. Or Dave Canales, and this happened in the opener, and it's happened in the second game, because it's clear that you had a quarterback that wasn't really ready, and you still threw him to the Wolves, which is why I've said I think they set out to prove Bryce Young couldn't play rather than could play.
Right, because they didn't throw him out to the Pig Wolves yesterday.
I got nothing for that decision
No.
right now. I've talked about it enough. But maybe Dave Canales is just one of those coaches that needs to be the smartest guy in the room. I'm going to show you that we can scheme this. I don't know what they were doing yesterday, but yesterday was utter embarrassment. As a franchise, as a team. No, not as a franchise, as a team. The franchise embarrassment that's been around. Been around for a while. Yesterday was an embarrassing performance by a football team against the Washington team that is not only they're good, but they're not great defensively, but were without their star quarterback, Marcus Mariota, who carved you up like you were a Thanksgiving ham.
Like 90% of the game.
Brutal. Absolutely brutal. All right, I don't even care. I do, obviously. All right, Aaron Rodgers. Oh, Aaron. It wasn't supposed to go this way, was it, Aaron? You're 2-5. Hey, look, the Jets have had a somewhat difficult schedule, right? Even the Broncos are not terrible, and the Broncos went to New Jersey and beat the Jets. It's a close game. The Jets could have won, but they didn't. They made a bunch of mistakes. But they have now lost 4 in a row and are 2-5 on the season. So, Aaron, where do you go from here?
It's been a rough stretch since we played so good on Thursday night. We've lost each of those 4 in different ways, but we got to figure it out. Obviously, we added 2 big-time players to the locker room. One's here, one's coming Monday. So, everything's still right in front of us. We got to somehow keep the belief in the locker room and start a run. You can't win 10 in a row unless you win the first one, so we got to be very critical of ourselves, each of us individually, tomorrow, and then come in with the right attitude all week and go to New England and get a win.
Yeah, well, look, the Jets' schedule is such that, they've got 10 games left. Can they win 8 of them? Can they go 8-2? Schedule sets up for a good team to win 8 out of 10. The question is, are the Jets a good team, or are they a good team written down? Because I think the latter is a lot more true than the former. I don't think they're a good team. I think their defense is super overrated. I don't think their defense is all that good. That's just me. All right, one more thing before we break. So Alabama lost at Tennessee. Close game. Could have won. Lost at Tennessee. So Heather Dinich from ESPN, who does a lot of their college football projecting, offers that Alabama might be a little bit of trouble.
They're out of it completely if they keep playing the way they have the last couple of weeks. And that's turnovers, penalties, under 100 rushing yards, 2 straight games where they've allowed at least 3 sacks on Jalen Milroe. They're not playing like a national title contender. It's less about the number of losses and who they lost to, including Vanderbilt, and how they lost those games. Ugly, right? So, they can still technically get back in this thing, but I've been saying repeatedly, you've got to do 2 things. You've got to have a statement win, and you've got to look the part of a national title contender.
Alabama has a statement win, and they have not, in recent weeks, looked the part of a title contender. Of course, it is somewhat, obvious that if you keep playing the way you're playing, you're not going to be in the playoff. Right now, Alabama with 2 losses would certainly be in the playoff, whether they deserve it or not. And I would argue last year that they didn't belong in the playoff, but they got it anyway because their name is Alabama, and that is the ultimate tiebreak. By the way, I did look at the poll. Please, you can't be serious if you think Indiana is better than Alabama. If you are somebody that voted Indiana in front of Alabama in the poll, don't vote. Stop voting. You clearly are too stupid to vote. We have to stop. This is when the college football playoff poll comes out in a couple of weeks, unless Alabama loses again, they ain't going to be behind Indiana. All right, when we come back, Mike Houston, Let Go. We'll be polite. Let Go by ECU. Patrick Johnson joins us to talk about it next.
Serving it up hot and fresh every day. Adam Gold on the North Carolina Sports Network.
Football is on the menu tonight.
Showtime, prime time.
And we're dishing up a clash of conferences.
Hot dog, man.
It's Baltimore and Tampa Bay.
Dominate on 3, 1, 2, 3, dominate.
Pregame starts at 7:30. Kickoff at 8:15.
Put up or shut up time.
The NFL on 99.9 The Fan is brought to you by Wake Med.
Here we go.
99.9 The Fan, the Triangle Sports leader.
Monday night, you gotta feel it.
Hey, it's Adam Gold from my friends at FanDuel, America's #1 sports book, and Week 7 is not over. And we have 2 games for you in Week 7. Why not parlay them and see what happens? Bet $5, new customers, I'm talking to you, get $300 in bonus bets if you win a bet on any of tonight's games. So you've got the Ravens and Buccaneers, and then the streaming-only game of the Chargers and Cardinals. FanDuel.com/Adam Gold. Make every moment more this season with FanDuel. FanDuel.com/Adam Gold. FanDuel is an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. 21 and over and present in North Carolina. First online real money wager only. $5 first deposit required. Bonuses issued as non-withdrawable bonus bets, which expire 7 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call 877-718-5543 or visit morethanagame.nc.gov.
It's bow time. It's not just football season. It's tailgate season, and that includes every kind of football, whether it's got goalkeepers or goalposts. The kick is good! Because it doesn't matter where or how you tailgate. When you've got crispy chicken and fluffy buttermilk biscuits from Bojangles, your tailgate is better than great. It's legendary. Head to Bojangles and order your tailgate box with boldly seasoned chicken, fixins, biscuits, and legendary iced tea today. It's bow time.
Planning a tailgate? Then it's bow time. Bojangles has everything you need for the perfect tailgate, no matter how many fans you're trying to feed. There's the original tailgate, the super tailgate, and for a really big crowd, the jumbo tailgate special. And if you like your chicken off the bone, choose the Supreme's tailgate special that includes 12 perfectly seasoned tenderloin fillets. So grab the tickets, get that Bojangles tailgate special, and go. It's bow time.
I'm Kamala Harris, candidate for president, and I approve this message. So many of you have told me about your plans for the future. Starting a business, buying a home, retiring near your grandchildren. But prices are too high. So let me tell you what I will do about it as president. I will take on price gouging. I will lower the cost of healthcare insurance. We cap the cost of insulin at $35 a month for seniors. I'm running to do that for everyone. And I will provide new down payment assistance to first-time home buyers and tax benefits to people who want to start their own business. Donald Trump, well, he wants to give more tax breaks to the wealthy, whereas I will cut taxes for the middle class instead. Because I know working people want to do more than just get by. You want to get ahead, and that's the future you deserve. And that is what I will focus on every day as your president. Paid for by Harris for President.
Everywhere you look, things are getting more expensive. So at Consumer Cellular, we're lowering the price for those 50 and up. Now you can get unlimited talk, text, and data for $30 a line when you buy 2. That's just $60 a month for 2 unlimited lines. So if you're 50 and up, make the switch and save. Come on, you've earned this. Call 1-888-FREEDOM or visit consumercellular.com today. Requires 2 lines of service, age validation, and credit approval, subject to system and area limits, taxes, and other fees apply.
This is Adam Gold.
We had lightning hit a pretty large tree.
Oh, yeah.
About 150 yards from the house. It'll be my sign to go win the lottery. But you know what? I'm sorry, I can't. I have rules. If it's not over $1 billion, I'm not playing.
Yeah, still just millions.
The Adam Gold Show.
It's the Adam Gold Show. I am Adam Gold. Victoria producing the program. I mentioned at the very beginning of the program that Saturday, as I was otherwise occupied with a club soccer match out of town, that I was following football scores online, and I saw that East Carolina was trailing Army big early, and I texted a good friend of mine and said, "This is over, right?" And the response was, "Well, it probably should be." I said, "Look, I haven't watched the game, but I do know this. I know Army's offense is difficult to deal with. But if you can't score points on the service academies, yeah, it's over." And East Carolina ultimately lost big to Army. The final score was misleading. They lost big to Charlotte a week ago. Can't lose that game. And they lost both. And Mike Houston was let go Sunday after 5+ years on the job. Patrick Johnson, 94. I said 104. 94-3 the game. I've been saying 104-3.
What?
Yeah, I've been saying it's ridiculous. What an idiot. Look, I've gotten all sorts of stuff wrong today. 94-3 the game. I'm glad my memory kicked in. 94-3 the game in Greenville, who joins us at P-Man on Air. All right, talk to me. Did this really happen? Was the first domino 55 to something against Charlotte, and then this one just ultimately was like the Jenga game where you pull out the one piece and the whole thing comes tumbling down?
Well, I think this was the final act, obviously. This really kind of went into motion after that Charlotte game. And I remember you and I were on before the season on your show, and you asked me, was he on the hot seat? That has always stuck with me this year because I think there was not necessarily a hot seat to start the season, but there was an expectation of this is a manageable schedule. There has been NIL money raised. Right. You've upgraded the quarterback position at East Carolina. So can you come out and, win a schedule that would put you in a position to do so, win games? And, they blew leads against App, blew a lead against Liberty. Okay, the App played probably their best game of the year, particularly after the first quarter. Liberty's a pretty good team.
Yeah.
And it was on the road, and that was the game that was delayed to like midnight or something like that. So, anyway, 2 losses. You don't like them, but you could live with them, and I think people had rationaled, okay, we had leads in those games, we just didn't finish.
Right.
The thing that I think, the way that Charlotte physically manhandled them, and the fact that now Mike Houston against the FBS teams in the state, North Carolina State, Appalachian State, and Charlotte's now 0-7. So I think you combine that. I think you combined 2-10 last year when the quarterback play was atrocious.
Yeah, man.
And, I mean, that was under his watch. That was his recruit. That was his 4-star recruit. I think it's a culmination of things. Charlotte was the thing that really put this in motion. And then I think the big thing, obviously, if they'd come out with a little bit of a pulse at him to start the game on Saturday, I don't know if we'd be sitting here. There'd be a lot of things brewing, but I think the fact that you went up to Army and in the first half, as you said, I mean, is it over? Yeah, it was 31-0 right after halftime.
Yeah,
the score is not indicative of just how out of hand that game was and could have been.
Patrick Johnson, 94.3 The Game in Greenville. Apologies for getting the frequency wrong earlier today. Like, what a dope I am. At P-Man on Air on Twitter. The reason I asked you that at the beginning of the season, is there a hot seat, is because for 2 years, it appeared that a turnaround was coming. You go 8-5. Well, I think it's 8-5, and then you win 7 games the next year in 21 and 22. And even though there were still players who were still around from before, and it was more of a veteran team, it did seem like there was momentum. Then last year was so bad that, and it probably could have been a little bit different had the first game turned out differently, even if the first game was a loss but stayed competitive to the end. But that they melted down at Michigan. Again, Michigan won the national championship and didn't lose a game. But there were some things that happened, like I think it was early second quarter, that just completely flipped the game, and they went away. And again, they might have gotten blown out anyway. But the whole year was a comedy of errors, right? And
they didn't have a quarterback that was ready to play after Holton Ahlers.
Right, but they're 1-7 in the league. And it's not exactly 1-7 in the Big 12, right?
Well, but lost in everything last year, Adam, was the receiving core was not very good.
Right.
The running backs, Rajay Harris's injury didn't help things.
Correct.
Him coming back from that, I mean, he just isn't quite the same as he's been or was after the injury the year before. The offensive line was not very good. And there have been really no upgrades to the offensive line in the portal or otherwise. And it was all overshadowed by just how bad the quarterback play was, the fact they could not score. The defense did all they could. Now, the defense has been pushed around a little bit in these last 2 games, 2 of the last 3 weeks, the Charlotte game and the Army game. And that is a little concerning because the defense played pretty well against UTSA. Probably won them that game.
Yeah.
They were really physical in that game.
Yeah, I don't think the defense has been terrible.
Well, they haven't been good on. They had a
Last couple of weeks,
6-quarter
no good.
stretch on dating to the fourth quarter of, well, the second half of Liberty on the road, the entire road game at Charlotte, and then the first half. So I mean, they had about 8 quarters where the defense was not playing real well, in road games. But the thing, we had Andrew Bays on yesterday, and if anybody listens to the ECU broadcast on your flagship affiliate there, 99.9, they hear Andrew Bays do the road games, and Andrew was on our coverage yesterday, and Andrew just said, I mean, he was an All-American punter. Now, he's a punter, but he's an All-American. He just said, physically, we don't match up against some of these teams. Don't match up physically against Army. Think about that for a minute.
That I can't even fathom. I mean, the ECU's, the nature of the program is one that no matter what conference they're in, they're one of those teams you don't want to face. Look, I know you talk to Steve Logan a ton. Man, I used to sit in the studio with him every, at least once a week for a couple of years. Like, I knew what kind of football teams that they put on the field in Greenville back in the day.
It's the same thing with Skip Holtz. I mean, those teams physically were very good. Even Ruffin McNeil had some teams early on that physically were very, very good in the American or in the Conference USA before they went to the American. The thing is this, Adam, I think you got to look back. Mike Houston was hired in 2019 to take over a program in shambles after Scotty Montgomery came in and just did a miserable job for 3 years, stem to stern. He turned it around. But Mike Houston, I don't think, is geared to be the guy in this modern college football of the NIL and the portal. He doesn't like it. He really is more of a defensive coach who'd rather run the ball. And, look, everything favors the offense in football now. Everything.
Yeah.
So you have got to be explosive and creative, especially at a place like East Carolina on offense. And the John David Baker experiment just has not worked. I mean, he came with a lot of accolades, but he's a novice play caller, and just the offense is – we'll see if it changes. They've made Blake Harrell the defensive coordinator, the interim coach. So we'll see if this changes. And I'll have him tonight on the Coaches Show, Adam, on the network. First comments since he was named the interim. But, the thing to me is You've got Temple coming in. Somehow they're a 7.5-point favorite against Temple. That could be the case.
Matt Rule must be coaching Temple again.
Yeah, Matt Rule must be back at Temple. Actually, Matt Rule was pretty good at Temple.
He was very good at Temple.
That may be the case if the locker room stays together. You've seen this a gazillion times, though. This is the first time East Carolina's really fired a coach midseason and then didn't let him finish the season. John Thompson, 2 games left. They let him finish the season. They gave Scotty Moe the chance to finish the season. He walked out 2 days before they played NC State and got demolished. So this is a new water for ECU, new waters, if you will, from the standpoint they fired a coach and they're going with an interim the rest of the way as far as football goes.
Patrick Johnson, final thing before we let you go. 94.3 The Game in Greenville. Coach's show tonight. What time?
6 o'clock. Patrick Johnson show before that at 5 o'clock.
5 o'clock. Yes, I know that. I was going to get to all of it. Look, it took me a long time to remember what the frequency was.
And you were just on the other week.
I know. And
you're on every day.
I'm exhausted. Who's next?
Too much club soccer.
You're not kidding. Who's like I at this point we can't have names. I haven't seen any names.
Mm-hmm.
But what is the appetite to kind of swing big here? Or are they looking for, one of those, are they going coordinator route? Does it have to have East Carolina ties?
John Gilbert's style in these hires have been the up-and-coming kind of coach in the other sports.
Right.
And some of that's played out to some success. Some of that is still playing out. Basketball, top-notch assistant in the country, and he's won slightly better than the winning percentage historically for the program. So it's a big year for Mike Schwartz in that regard. With all that said, Joe Sloan played at East Carolina for Skip Holtz, is calling plays for his first year at LSU. Garrett Riley was there. I doubt he'd leave Clemson, but again, if you're going to swing for the fence and you have some money to do this, that's a possibility. Dwayne Ledford played there and is now in the pros with Atlanta. He's from North Carolina. I wouldn't be shocked if they kick the tires on Skip Holtz.
Yeah,
because that guy can fundraise, and that guy is a CEO, and you need a CEO roster manager in this day and age that can raise money. It's not about coaching ball anymore.
Well, that part is absolutely true. But also Holtz got ECU. He was good here.
Yeah.
So it's difficult to do it twice.
Yeah, and
right?
Ask Mac Brown. But I mean, they've talked about, and this is fans throwing out names like Dan Mullen, the Helton brother that's at Western Kentucky. Dan
Mullen
on 3.
Urban Meyer.
Swing for the fence. Swing for the fence.
Hey,
Adam,
look,
you said swing for the fence.
They should call Steve Logan.
They are going to put together a committee. John Gilbert did say that yesterday, and I would hope they would consider having Steve Logan on the committee.
Right. He will not coach. Steve Logan.
Right. But I mean, I would go to him and seek his input.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Patrick Johnson, 94.3 The Game in Greenville. The Patrick Johnson show starts in 2.5 hours, 5 o'clock, and then the coach's show, I can't. It's 6 o'clock.
6 o'clock,
94.3
right
The
after.
Game. Yeah,
right. We're live at Tiebreakers, the legendary Tiebreakers there in Greenville. So we'll get you there one day, Adam.
One day, I'll come out. I'll come out. I'll do the show from there one day.
We need to get you down to Greenville to do your show one day.
Let's do it.
That'd be cool.
All right, sir. I thank you for your time.
Thank you, and say hello to Victoria, who's the best.
You already did. You said hi to her before.
Publicly.
Okay,
I wanted to publicly. That was one of those public nods and winks, Adam.
You
Come on.
wanted that on the record. He wanted it on the record.
I wanted to be on the record.
Talk to you. You talked to her like for 2 minutes before you talked to me. All right, man. Take care.
See ya.
Patrick Johnson, P-Man on air on Twitter. I don't know. It might be too much club soccer.
Maybe.
I mean, it could be that.
I mean, you didn't even hear my one-timers when I was doing
because I was scrolling, literally. So it's worth telling right now, very quickly. So on Mondays,
right,
we have staff meetings.
Yes.
And the big boss, Brian, the Yankee fan, he was at our staff meeting, and what we were discussing attention span.
Yes, we did.
Right. So the whole thrust is because we are so beholden. I will hold this up to the screen if you are watching on YouTube. Beholden to phones, right?
Yes.
We get news through phones. We are scrolling through social media. Everything we do is like you could do in the palm of your hand. And so in this meeting, we're talking about attention span and the fact that this impacts our attention span. If you wonder why our kids don't do some of the things that we did as kids, like have the ability to occupy our own time doing things that aren't on a phone, we all could do that. We all did it because when we were kids, we didn't have these.
No.
So, and I'm not saying our generation is better. I'm just saying it's different. So this contributes to a shorter attention span.
It has.
So what happened when you were going through one-timers, I had Twitter open on my phone, and I looked down, and I saw something that grabbed my attention.
Right.
And
Mission
I
accomplished.
automatically started to read it, and you went into the second question, and I didn't hear the beginning of the question, and I was lost.
Yes. Yeah. Unfortunately, you couldn't have used the process of elimination because it was a question about the Monday Night Football games,
Right.
and we have two of them
We have two
tonight.
of them. So I
So
would
you
have been
didn't know
able to
which
get,
one.
I would have been able to answer that. Yeah. And it wouldn't have been hysterical if I answered the question about the other game.
Yeah.
We do have 2 Monday Night Football games. I wish they would stop this.
I know.
I don't know who it serves. I really don't know who it serves. So I'll watch the Ravens and the Buccaneers.
Yes.
There's nothing else on tonight. I'll watch the Ravens and the Buccaneers.
With Bill Belichick and the Mannings.
Yes. Are they? I guess they're doing a Manning cast tonight. So I'll watch that. And then the other game is a ESPN Plus exclusive.
Oh.
Right. That would be good, except that it's not as easy to go back and forth between ESPN and the ESPN Plus on YouTube TV.
Yeah, it's not.
It's just not as easy to do that. So I will not watch the Chargers and Cardinals.
Cardinals, yeah.
0. Maybe if I'm still awake, which I won't be, at the end of the first game, maybe I'll catch the second game.
Right.
But
yes.
no.
At least there's
chance
no
of that.
baseball thrown in there either that we have to worry about taking our attention.
I got no baseball. I got no WNBA championship game from last night. By the way, 2 post-game clips from yesterday we didn't get to in Wallace Sound, and I want to get to them. And rewind. Next.
Raleigh to Boone, Charlotte to Chapel Hill. Your Carolina is covered. Adam Gold on the North Carolina Sports Network.
My name's Kate Roper, and I live in Leicester, North Carolina. In September of 2023, I had a tumor removed from my left ear, and I just enrolled in NC Medicaid. It was just such a relief knowing that now that I'm covered by NC Medicaid, I don't have to worry about how I'm going to pay for medical treatment now. It's probably saving my life.
See if you qualify at medicaid.nc.gov.
Kamala Harris gets that everyday costs are too high. She has real plans to tackle price gouging, cut taxes for middle-class families, and make life more affordable. Her opponent's plan?
Donald Trump plans to impose what is, in effect, a national sales tax. On everyday products, it will mean higher prices on just about every one of your daily needs. A Trump tax on gas, a Trump tax on food, a Trump tax on clothing, a Trump tax on over-the-counter medication. Donald Trump's plan would cost a typical family $3,900 a year. When everyday prices are too high, he will make them even higher.
Kamala Harris, a better plan for lowering costs for a future we can afford. Paid for by FFPAC, ffpac.org, not authorized by any candidate or candidates committee. FFPAC's responsible for the content of this advertising.
Adam Gold here from my friends at FanDuel, America's #1 sports book, as we wrap up Week 7 of the NFL. Ravens at the Buccaneers should be a blast, and new customers can bet $5 and get $300 in bonus bets if you win the wager on tonight's game. Lamar Jackson will do something spectacular. That would be an easy win if you could bet that. So, go to FanDuel.com/AGS and make every moment more this season with FanDuel. That's FanDuel.com/AGS. For FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. FanDuel, have fun. It's football. 21 and over and present in North Carolina. First online real money wager only. $5 first deposit required. Bonuses issued as non-withdrawable bonus bets, which expire 7 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call 877-718-5543 or visit morethanagame.nc.gov.
The 2024 elections are just around the corner, and older voters are the nation's most active. The AARP North Carolina Voters Guide has information about upcoming election dates, registration deadlines, and voting options in North Carolina, such as voting by mail, early voting, or voting with a disability. Find the guide in the voters section at aarp.org/NC and listen each week to AARP Without Limits for important election news and much more. You can find the latest episodes of AARP Without Limits wherever you listen to your podcasts.
Psst. Hello there. It's me, your internal clock. Yes, the one you sleep through on weekends. You've probably heard my TikToks, but I'm straight up sounding the bell now. It's almost time to start applying for college. That means you got transcripts to gather, letters of rec to request, and campus tours to schedule. But hey, we've got time, and we've got CFNC. CFNC.org can help us plan, apply, and pay for college. We got this, trust me. Just visit CFNC.org to help us stay on time.
When the power goes out, your life is disrupted. Heat, air conditioning, refrigeration, phones, all gone. Be prepared for the next outage with a Generac home standby generator. After sensing a power outage, a Generac generator automatically restores your home's power. Whether you're home or away, power your life with a Generac home standby generator. Act now for a free 10-year warranty on a Generac home standby generator. Terms and conditions apply. See more at alternativepower.com. Alternative Power, North Carolina's Generac experts.
This is Adam Gold.
And I did have to use two screens at one point, or a couple of points, and I don't like it. I can't watch two games at the same time.
A lot going on.
I'm sorry. I'm incapable of doing that. Because there were times where, I forgot this other game was on in front of me.
Yeah.
The Adam Gold Show.
It's the Adam Gold Show. I am Adam Gold. We're going to get into a rewind in a minute. Victoria producing the program. Little inside baseball here is that I make a list of things I want to talk about for every show. We do everything usually in this little Word document, but I write down the topics that I want on basically a notebook that I keep every day. Today, the lineup was like Panthers and then related NFL stuff. And we have talked a lot about the Panthers. Maybe not as much as some of you want, but maybe some of you are sick and tired of hearing the same old thing. I talked about the Panthers and my anger. And I come at this without an emotional investment in the team, like so many of you have devoted your time and your energy and your emotion to following and rooting for a football team that hasn't really gotten it since David Tepper has become the owner. And I don't mean to say that David Tepper's heart's not in the right place. By the way, hasn't gotten a lot of run, but they've donated, David and Nicole have donated a fair amount of money to hurricane relief, and that is worth mentioning. I don't think David Tepper is a bad person. I think he has a thin skin for criticism, but I don't think for a second that he is a bad person at all. He's a better human being than the previous owner. That's a low bar, but he's a better human being than the previous owner. But as an owner of an NFL franchise, he's got some learning to do. So I was going to talk about the Panthers, and I'm going to bring up some things about the Panthers. I wanted to talk about State. We talked a little bit about it. We'll get into more tomorrow. Duke, 6-1 with SMU coming on Saturday night to Wallace Wade Stadium. And honestly, a must-win for both teams. Look, if SMU wants to be part of the playoff picture, they ain't going to do it with a loss at Duke. And even though I'm talking like part of me smiles during the conversation that, what about Duke as a playoff contender? Yeah, well, Duke's got a lot still coming. Not only SMU this week, at Miami next week. And it doesn't look like Duke has much of an offense. God, their offense was terrible against Florida State. But they are 6-1, and they're bowl eligible. Shouts to Manny Diaz for, after all the player attrition, losing your quarterback to Notre Dame. By the way, Riley Leonard, not exactly covering himself in Irish glory. But Notre Dame they're winning a lot of games. I wanted to talk about Mike Houston, which we've done. I wanted to talk about the World Series, which we've done. I haven't gotten at all to, like, briefly the Hurricanes, like 4 minutes on the Hurricanes. There's always a lot of things to talk about. A couple of things that I didn't think that we would have time for, I want to just get to real quick here. And the first is the Browns. I think the Browns lost again yesterday, right? They always do.
Did.
The Browns are
to
terrible.
The Bengals, yep.
The Browns are terrible. The Bengals, ultimately, I think the Bengals will either be in or they will be right there at the end for a playoff spot. But the outcome of the game is irrelevant to what happened when Deshaun Watson, the quarterback, and they have already now announced the official diagnosis. It's a ruptured Achilles. So he suffered the ruptured Achilles and was taken off the field on a cart. Little background real quick before we continue the story. You may recall that Deshaun Watson was credibly accused of, we'll just say, varying degrees of sexual deviance and assault by 25 separate women in Houston. 25. He settled lawsuits with 23 of them. Like, they're not all rape, right? And I don't know that any of them, like, by the definition of rape, fall into that category. But that's why I say varying degrees of sexual deviance to sexual assault. That's where Deshaun Watson operated for a number of years while the quarterback of the Houston Texans. He spent, as we all know, one famous year not playing while fully healthy for Houston. And Houston had to get rid of him. And somehow the Cleveland Browns not only traded for him, but gave him the worst, from an NFL's perspective, contract in the history of the sport. For the first time, it was a fully guaranteed, well, actually, I shouldn't say for the first time, because Kirk Cousins signed a fully guaranteed contract. A fully guaranteed contract. It's $230 million over 5 years, which now doesn't seem like a lot, but it is. And it was fully guaranteed. We don't have to get into the ramifications of Cleveland getting rid of him because we've already done that, right? So he's a massive contract, a massive salary cap hit. And, by the way, he's awful. He's one of the worst 3 starting quarterbacks in the entire league. He can no longer play. At least he hasn't shown that he can. So Cleveland, saddled with the contract, Cleveland fans know that their team is saddled with the contract. He's terrible. And for the most part, as a group, they didn't want him in the first place based on that sexual deviance that the owner, a a model citizen in his own right, Jimmy Haslam. Google it. The owner convinced his franchise, because he's the owner, and the player who didn't want to come to Cleveland, we'll give you this contract, now you'll love us. Well, the fans never really did, and then he stunk, so the fans are done. Now we continue the story about yesterday. Deshaun Watson is carted off the field, and the fans are booing him. Now, full stop. You never, ever, ever hear a player booed when they are leaving the field with a serious injury. Ever. You don't hear it. It's unbecoming of fans. But worse is what Jameis Winston had to say.
The way I was raised, I was taught to love no matter the circumstances, especially for people who do right by you. I'm grateful that I had a chance to serve Deshaun, but I am very upset with the reaction to a man that has had the world against him for the past 4 years, and he put his body and life on the line for this city every single day, regardless of your perception, regardless of what you thought should happen with him. He committed every single day that I've been here to be the best that he can be for this team. And I know I come from the deep south, Birmingham, Alabama, Belsham, Alabama. So I know the standard that hungry fans want. But the way I was raised, I will never pull on a man when he's down. But I will be the person to lift him up. And that, all of us have unique experiences. All of us have circumstances, conditions, and facts that we face every single day. And I pride myself in being a man of increase and being a man that wants the best out of everybody. I tell myself every morning, what I want for myself, I want for everyone. And I do not want the treatment that Deshaun Watson has received from these passionate fans. I know you love this game. So when I first got here, I knew
it's good. Here's the thing about what, because I could have stopped it. I probably should have stopped it about 45 seconds ago. It's clear that Deshaun Watson has been good to Jameis Winston, whether it's in Cleveland or at some other stop along the way. That Watson and Winston have connected, and Winston maybe looks up to Deshaun Watson. I don't know. But he has had the world against him for 4 years. I wonder if it has anything to do with 25 credible accusations of sexual deviance or sexual assault.
Could have something to do with that. Yeah.
If that is in some way driving the response. On top of the fact that he has been, in spite of laying his body and his life on the line for the franchise every day, every single day, the fact that he has been just so horrible at playing the game.
Right. Not to mention his contract has ruined their franchise and others, so the ripple effect there.
I mean, I'm begging of players. Like, Jameis Winston, that was a very heartfelt, emotional, intelligent response from Winston.
Yeah. Also coming from someone who settled a $950,000 rape case.
Yeah. That was the other part of that. I get it, Jameis. There's probably a reason that you have this connection.
Yeah, you don't want people to judge him.
But
jeez, get out of here. So gross.
But there was such a better way to make that point if you were Jameis Winston. And that is, regardless of what anybody has done, we are here to put on a show for you, right? And when somebody is taken off the field with a serious injury, it is absolutely unfair for that to be the response. I get it. That's not a response that anybody wants to hear. By the way, Myles Garrett did the same stupid thing. I just thought the Jameis Winston was just a little bit more soap opera-ish. All right, I got time for one more. So, yesterday, in a furious finish, which included very few points, the New York Liberty won their first ever WNBA championship. It's an original franchise. The league is now 28 years old. First time the Liberty ever won the title was yesterday. Finally, a New York team won yesterday. Yay! It was not without some controversy, since the Liberty tied it up late when Breanna Stewart was ruled to have been fouled in the act of shooting with just a handful of seconds left. And it does appear that the call might have been soft. LeBron James didn't like the call. There were a number of people who didn't like the call, including, as you might expect, the always entertaining Minnesota head coach Cheryl Reeve.
I know all the headlines will be Reeve cries foul. Bring it on, right? Bring it on, because it's stolen from us. Bring it on.
The bleep was stolen from us.
Right.
All right. My feeling is it wasn't the worst call I've ever seen in a basketball game. Clearly there was contact. I did think the contact was initiated by Breanna Stewart, but we would be being intellectually dishonest if we said that that is a call that can't be made, because we have seen it time and time and time again where calls like that are made. With that said, you did not lose the game there, because I watched overtime. And you had plenty of chances to score in overtime, including wide open threes, and nobody scored. So, cry. Freaking cry. What an absolute joke. Cheryl Reeve is the person who put her rear end on her shoulders during the Caitlin Clark should have been on the Olympic team conversation, when she could have been so much more diplomatic about the situation. And Cheryl Reeve decided throughout the, summer, to basically tell everybody to go pound sand. Like, have you no bedside manner? Can you just simply say, look at the team. There's tons of great players. Caitlin Clark will make 6 of these teams in the course of her career. She'll be on as many teams as Diana Taurasi was. But no, Cheryl Reeve decided to be that person and basically shove it into everybody. Like, I got no time for people like that. So, Cheryl Reeve, way to be magnanimous. It just puts you in overtime. You could have won in overtime. Then you could have really said, look what we overcame. Victoria, thank you very much. See everybody tomorrow.
Going beyond the box scores. Adam Gold on the North Carolina Sports Network.
Adam Gold in studio with my man Sammy Hanna, owner-operator of the Aluminum Company of North Carolina. I tell people this all the time. If I am doing a commercial for somebody, I am vouching for who they are and what they do. You guys do great work, but your customer service stands above all the great work that you do.
Adam, I truly appreciate that testimonial. And yeah, we try to take pride in our customer service and meet and exceed our homeowners' expectations on all their home improvement needs. Obviously, there's many companies out there that do what we do. If you Google home improvements, Raleigh, you're going to get many companies, but you're not going to find